That's a lovely little Tuesday, Greg. But a nice way you drive to work this morning.
Wait, Tuesday in the bag.
That's nice. It's nice dry weather, isn't it? You don't mind.
Good dry weather.
But you know, you would find it. You'd be thinking to yourself yesterday. I was bouncing off. Do you think it's going to snow?
No,
It's cold enough.
Not up here though.
They're getting a blast in the UK, aren't
Back in
they?
the east of the country, we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
What day's Valentine's Day again?
Friday. I thought it was Thursday.
Really? Have you anything planned?
No,
How can you be so sure?
because I know I'm going to get a haircut at 3:15
On
Friday.
well, you must be preparing for something.
No, I just need a haircut, Daddy. Ooh, you romantic. And I'm
So
going
you're
to.
keeping it a surprise, really.
Huh?
You're keeping it a surprise.
Getting a haircut?
No.
Look, shippy, you're tidying yourself
Why
up.
are you getting a haircut?
Because I like to get a haircut now and again. Would you like to get a haircut? When's the last time you got a haircut?
I just get spit and polish.
Dad, I would love to see a picture. Would you ever share a picture of you
I don't
back
think I
in
have any,
No, you do.
I would
Do you
have
know-
to dig. I'm not a big one for photos.
When did you start
I
going?
just shaved my head at 22.
Did you?
Mhm.
Was
There
it thinning
no,
out?
There was no
it?
drama. I just felt my hair. I would double crown, hair growing in different directions.
What do you mean
There
you
was-
double crown?
I don't know. Just my hair spiked up and was thin, and I had no crisis with hair loss or nothing. I shaved my head in my early 20s, and then that was it.
Yeah.
You know.
So what
there's no
advice would you give
story
to
there.
somebody then? Say,
Uh,
what would we say now if you're going
well,
a wee
it
bit?
doesn't really matter. You know, you think when you're young, you think everyone really cares about what you look, what you say, what you do, and as you get older, you realise they don't. Everyone's getting on with their own business.
Everybody has. See, we all
Just
have
do
plenty.
whatever's good for you.
Yeah, do
You know?
whatever's
But don't
right.
be you don't be defined by your hair, but hair is incredibly important to people. So for
is.
some people, but I have no story of I've no dramatic story of a crisis and losing. You know what I mean? But I have a kind of a round head. Some people have different shaped heads. I would say don't try and cover it up.
Don't try to.
Everyone knows you're trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
Just shave it, man. Embrace it.
Embrace it. Right, okay. Daddy.
But you're all right.
Here, have a
You've
wee look at the
decent
crown here.
thatch.
Have a look at my crown here.
So she's a triple crown,
She's
boy.
a triple crown.
Can't wait to see what
King
you're
of the
getting up to,
crowns.
getting a special haircut.
Ooh.
You might even have a shower.
You never know. That's once a week. Come on. Good luck.
I shower twice on a Friday, and that covers me for the whole week. Then,
In the morning and evening then.
No, just 2 showers, one after the other, and that covers me.
Right.
2 showers for the week.
That does make sense.
Okay, take
Good luck.
care. It is the 9 till noon show, and it is a minute past 9. Let's get a news update. It's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council is being urged to take the lead on hosting an information day for professionals and builders engaging with the defective concrete block grant scheme. The chair of the council's DCB committee, Councillor Martin McDermott, says there's repeat issue with forms being submitted, which in turn is causing delays in payments for those carrying out remediation works. A promise made by the Department of Housing 3 years ago to host a similar initiative is yet to come to fruition. Councillor McDermott says it must happen now.
At the minute, what I feel is happening, that what the council are looking for and what the building professionals are doing, there's a sort of an anomaly there where, you know, there's mistakes being made and things are not being filled in right. And to be fair to the professionals, to be fair to the council, I think it'd be important if everyone sat down and there was a presentation made by the council and by the housing agency explaining exactly what they want and how they want it. You know, it would make it a lot simpler for families, because at the end of the day, we can't have a situation where builders are waiting money.
A man in his 20s has been charged in relation to the stabbings in Stony Batter, Dublin. 3 men were injured during the attack on Sunday. Stephanie Roan has more.
3 men aged in their 20s and 40s were injured in this attack, which happened on Sunday afternoon in broad daylight. 2 of the men had serious but non-life-threatening injuries, while the third was less seriously hurt. Gardaí believe the attack was random and nobody else was involved. A man in his 20s was arrested shortly afterwards and questioned. He's now been charged and is due before the Dublin District Court at 10:30 this morning.
The first ever newborn baby grants are being paid today. It will benefit 136 families in Donegal, accounting for 137 children. The measure, announced on Budget Day, sees families of all babies born after December 1st last year receive a one-off grant payment of €280. It's expected to benefit around 54,000 children over the course of the year. The current housing supply needs to double to address just half of the current shortfall. That's according to a report out this week from Initiative Ireland, which also forecasts we're unlikely to exceed an average of 45,000 units annually over the next 2 years. The company's CEO, Padraig Rush, says although we need to increase supply, we also need to manage a surge causing problems further down the line.
if we could get it up to an average of 60,000 units, which is still a massive increase and a challenge for the country, and spread that over 10 years, in 10 years' time, the actual new demand will average out at around 60,000 based on population growth. So you won't have that scenario where supply is built up and then suddenly drops off the cliff.
Donald Trump's announced he's banning the US government from using paper straws, saying they don't work, and he wants to go back to plastic. The president signed an executive order reversing policies on single-use plastics and directing agencies to stop buying paper versions. He's long opposed efforts to reduce plastic waste. And looking now to weather, it'll be mostly cloudy today with light patchy rain and drizzle at times, coldest with highest temperatures of 4 to 7 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back again at 10 o'clock.
Want to work with the very best? Then make the all-new Nissan Interstar your next recruit. It's first impressions that count, and the Nissan Interstar doesn't disappoint. With a brand new, eye-catching grille and jaw-dropping design. And with a stronger-than-ever payload, it has the power to match your ambition. Available now in electric and diesel versions. Let the world know you mean business with the all-new Nissan Interstar. Contact your local dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. It is 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 11th of February 2025, and we're here for another Tuesday show, of course. And we've lots coming up over the course of the next 3 hours. We're covering the main news and features and conversation that you'd expect. We've got Community Garda Information, actually. That's coming up just after 10 o'clock, and so much more besides. If you want to raise an issue, get involved in the conversation. Maybe there's an issue we can help you with. 086 60 25,000. Your familiar WhatsApp and text number is open for you now. 086 60 25,000. You can give us a ring as well on 07491 25,000 or email comments@highlandradio.com. And as you know, we stream the show on our socials. You can watch it on YouTube, on your smart TV or Fire Stick. Just search Highland Radio Ireland, and we're on Facebook, the X platform as well. Right. Lots to get through in the papers, so let's crack on. We'll start with the Irish Times. And this is a story that's perhaps familiar to an awful lot of us. You know, it's not a criticism, it's almost a reality that we're very busy, and maybe many of us don't get the time to sort of hang out our younger people's shoulders and check exactly what they're doing on their PlayStation or their Xbox or their tablet or mobile phone. Many of us aren't doing anything, actually, because the survey tells us that a majority of primary school-aged children have unsupervised access to smart devices in their bedrooms, according to new research. Data from CyberSafe Kids reveals that 82% of children have such access, while 28% reported they could go online whenever they wanted. The survey of more than 2,000 children aged 8 to 12 across the country was conducted by the online safety charity between September and December 2024. Half of the children surveyed acknowledged that they spend too much time online. CyberSafe Kids, an online safety charity, said its research revealed an alarming lack of parental oversight, with only 35% of children stating that their parents or caregivers can see what they're doing online. So, truth is, the majority of us, and I would be amongst them, certainly in the past when the kids were of age, perhaps did not supervise children on the tablets or smart devices as much as I should have, if at all. How bad is that? I mean, am I a bad parent? Are we bad parents if we don't? Is it because we don't realise that, you know, we wouldn't have them walking through a shopping centre chatting to, I mean, there was a story doing the rounds recently, you know, and quite rightly so, in Letterkenny. There were some girls, I believe it was, sitting in a business premises, and someone observed or heard someone talking about them, and lots of people shared it and liked it and spread it. Is there a bigger difference? Is there much of a difference if some people are sort of, you know, checking out our children in an online space? Like, we'd get very angry about it in a physical space, but would we be as bothered in an online space? We know there are horrible adults out there that try and meet people or extort images off them or whatever it might be, or even just have an unhealthy friendship. So we get very, and I say we, and I actually mean me as well. So we get very uptight about stuff that happens in real life, in the real world, and rightly so. But we take a very sort of a backseat approach in the online space. even though we know of the dangers of that. So why do we do that? Is it because we're so busy? Is it because that we don't really see it as the same type of danger? Is it something that we should be working on? Or maybe they know that space better? I don't believe that to be the case, but I'm just throwing that out there for a conversational perspective. But, you know, the majority of children have, between 8 and 12, have access to the internet, and most of them without any supervision whatsoever. What are we doing wrong? How bad is that? 086 60 25,000. Good, let's go to the Irish Independent now. And parenting, by the way, before we're going, parenting is tough, you see. It is hard. It's hard to go to work. It's hard to keep the house in shape. Sometimes it's hard to actually keep the house. And it's hard to keep your children happy and safe. And then this is another thing on top of that. Is it a time thing, or is that just an excuse? On to the Irish Independent. Some of the most vulnerable babies in our country are at risk of falling through the cracks as public health nurse services for small children have collapsed across whole swathes of Ireland. Anxious first-time parents in Drimnagh, Cherry Orchard, Lucan, Palmerston, Rathcoole, Clondalkin and other parts of Dublin have been told that crucial development checks on their children, which should be routine, have been suspended. This is because of a chronic national shortage, which has seen no public health nurse at all working in many parts of Ireland. It means that potential additional needs or developmental delays will now be caught by what should be a standard part of the national, will now not be caught by what should be a part of a standard national child health programme. The knock-on effect could mean that children miss out on important early interventions, or that illnesses or disabilities not identified. Mothers with concerns about babies who've not been hitting their milestones have been standing outside healthcare centres in Dublin trying to get appointments, while others have been lobbying TDs for help. So a bit of a Dublin-centric story, but not exclusive to Dublin. There are other parts of the country affected. I'm not sure if it's a particular problem here in County Donegal, but I read it just to throw it out there. And I don't think we can always be expected. I'm making it sound like we're terrible parents, but I think it's just honest. I don't think we can always be expected to know exactly milestones and how to interpret what's happening. And in the absence of having a professional to see our kids on a regular basis, we are inevitably going to be missing things. But I don't know what it's like here in this county. Are we getting, in your opinion, regular and proper access to public health nurses? Let me know what you think. 086 60 25,000. The Irish Daily Mail tells us that a man whose wife was killed in the Omagh bombing has challenged a public inquiry to provide the truth about the atrocity to victims. Kevin Skelton said he did not trust the Irish government to cooperate with the inquiry, adding that without such cooperation it was dead in the water. The Omagh bombing inquiry is continuing with 4 weeks of public hearings recalling the lives of and hearing tributes to all those killed and impacted by the 1998 real IRA atrocity which killed 29 people, including a mother pregnant with twins. The inquiry, led by Judge Andrew Turnbull, is examining whether the atrocity could reasonably have been prevented by UK authorities. Among those giving evidence yesterday was Kevin Skelton, whose 39-year-old wife, Philomena, was killed in the bombing. He said it was beyond him trying to understand what caused the dissident bombers were trying to achieve by blowing up women and children. Returning to the story of the knife attacks in Dublin, Stoneybatter, in the Irish Daily Star, and we learned that the suspect for the Stoneybatter knife attack was on bail at the time of the attack. The paper has established that he was facing charges connected to the seizure of around €5,000 worth of cannabis and ecstasy in Dublin in 2023. He was charged over the seizure and was before the courts, but had been released on bail. He was due back in court over the charges this Friday. But now he is in custody and being questioned over Sunday's horror attack on 3 strangers, which left them all with slash wounds on the neck and face areas. The paper has also established that the suspect, who's from South America, arrived in Ireland in 2022. He was last night being questioned over the broad daylight attacks, but Gardaí still don't have a motive for the attack, which happened in the Osmond Town Road area of Stoneybatter in broad daylight just before 3 p.m. on Sunday. On to the Irish Daily Mirror now, and the number of Ukrainian refugees in state-provided accommodation has fallen by 50% in the last year. That's a significant decline, isn't it? Now, I'm not sure if the €800 per month rent payment, would that count as state-provided accommodation, or are they talking about hotels? I'll read on. Norma Foley confirmed the figures in response to a parliamentary question from Sinn Féin's Pa Daly. Ms Foley said to date almost 114,000 beneficiaries of temporary protection have arrived in Ireland. She added almost 88,500 of those have been referred to her department seeking accommodation. On January the first, 29,301 Ukrainian refugees were living in state-provided properties. This is down from 58,605 on the same date in 24, a reduction of 50%. The number of Ukrainian refugees in state-provided accommodation decreased every month last year, falling by several thousand each month. The figure do not include refugees living in private accommodation, which was pledged by members of the public across Ireland. So there's two things. There's three options here. Either half of them have just gone into the private rental market, gone home, or have moved into the private rental market with the €800 per month tax-free. We were chatting about this on the Friday panel last week. Many feel that that's an unfair advantage in the rental market and is disadvantaging Irish and others here trying to secure accommodation. We don't know the breakdown of how many of them are in such accommodation, but it is up for review in March and may or may not be discontinued or reduced. I imagine there won't be a cliff edge if they either won't change it or it'll be phased out. And the controversy over last Friday's Eurosong competition on RTE rumbles on. Samantha Mumba is rumbling. She's not happy. A member of RTE's Eurosong panel last night hit back at a completely unprofessional tirade by Samantha Mumba. She was incensed after her self-penned single My Way wasn't selected to represent Ireland at the Eurovision in Basel. I think that's not very well phrased. I don't think she's angry that her song didn't win. She's angry with how contestants were treated. She's 42 and was one of 6 contestants who took part in the Late Late Show's Eurosong competition. But the Gotta Tell You pop star stormed that she hoped some members of the panel choke on a bag of gone-off things following criticism of her entry. She lost out on her chance to represent Ireland to Norwegian singer Emmy, who won with her song Like a Party about a dead Soviet space dog. Samantha Mumba, very critical of the judging panel. I can't disagree with her. I didn't think her song was great. We discussed this enough yesterday, but I just don't think it's either a competition or it's not. It's either about the contestants or it's about the panel. It can't be all those things. So I actually agree with her, to be honest with you. All right, let us take a break. We'll be back with our first guest on the show in just a few moments.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place, Letterkenny.
Transform your space with McCafferty Tiles Ballabufey, specialising in large format and designer tiles. We offer expert installation and free design consultation in our showroom or on site. Let us bring your vision to life with bespoke recommendations. Call 086 242 3604 or find us on Facebook and Instagram. McCafferty Tiles Ballabufey, showroom by appointment.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
Join Irish Guide Dogs for the Blind's nationwide meetups on Saturday, February 15th. Discover how you can raise our puppies into life-changing dogs, connect with dog lovers, and explore volunteer opportunities. Together we can change lives. Visit guidedogs.ie for more information.
The Nutria's Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season with 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store or online at homeland.ie. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Okay, the time now, 19 minutes past 9. We're joined on the programme by the wee Donegal mammy, social commentator Emma Gova. Good morning to you, Emma. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. Can you hear me there?
Loud and August clear. Right, yesterday we were relating comments from Taoiseach that there'll be no cost of living measures in the next budget. Your reaction to that news, Emma?
That's appalling, to be honest with you. And I say this as I never understood why the payments were given generally, and I don't mean that to be offensive, but I couldn't understand how somebody who is on maybe disability allowances, maybe only getting 13,000 a year, was getting a credit on their electricity bill of €250, and then maybe somebody on a 3-figure sum down the country was also getting the same targeted credit rate or credit money off their bill. It didn't make much sense to me, but it was welcomed, and I welcomed the cost of living package for those who are the most vulnerable, but it wasn't just targeted those who were the most vulnerable, and I think that's the issue. And now to say that they're going to do away with it across the board after they've given themselves pay rises, may I add, and added in super junior ministers who are on top of, they've not only topped up the junior ministers, they've topped up the super junior ministers. And by the time they add in their expenses, which can range from 6,000 to 32,000, this is 200,000 a year for super junior ministers and 190,000 a year for junior ministers, and we've more now than we ever had.
More expenses for rural TDs as well. Just to tag that on, if you don't mind. Do you believe people, even if they come from different types of background, do you think that if you are earning, 6-figure sums, that you can relate to the experience of someone, say, for instance, who's on a carer's allowance, struggling to make ends meet? Do you think after a while you become detached from the reality of life for some?
Absolutely. How could you not? When you're not living with that every day, and this is why this should be engaging with people who are living this every day. You take, for example, a person on disability allowance gets €242 a week, which is, I think, around just under 13,000 a year. Somebody on carers allowance is getting €260 a week if they're under 66, and €290 around that, or 298 maybe. The figure could be 298 if they're over 66. And then if you're on a contributory pension, you're getting €289, but if you're on a non-contributory pension, you're getting 275, 278 euros, I think. How can you relate to that person if you are on a 6-figure sum? How can you relate to the fact that, like, I remember speaking to a man last year, and I remember saying to him, if I'm ever talking about, and I did speak about it before, issues relating to pensioners and maybe those who are more vulnerable in our society, without mentioning your name, could I bring this up? And he said, absolutely, yeah, just don't say my name. And I said, of course. And this man, who's not on social media, he'd be in his 80s, was telling me that he goes to his bed at 6 o'clock in the evening because he can't afford to heat his house for longer than that. And his words, then I only have to eat so many times a day because if I'm in my bed. And he was actually raving about his granddaughter, who was amazing, who had downloaded Netflix onto his mobile phone for him, and he was able to download shows and watch them in his bed. But this was this man's life at 80, watching Netflix in his bed from 6 o'clock in the evening because he couldn't afford to heat and eat.
Yeah, and the truth is he's running the clock down, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He's not living.
That's not living.
Yeah, he's running the clock down, and I don't mean that in any way disrespectful, but he's not living. He's existing.
And he deserves better, and so do all the other pensioners in our country. They deserve better, and it's this idea of it's almost a slap in the teeth to those who are most vulnerable, and we've seen sort of the rollback now on the carers as well, where when they were running the election, said we are going to do this, we are going to do, we are going to take away the means test. Now we're going to look at it. No timelines for anything, yet they're able to timeline the fact that there will not be a cost of living package this year. Now, listen, nobody's asking for freebies here. And I see so many times on social media I know what you're going to say, but how
let's just, for an example, let's talk about the carer's allowance.
Yes.
Right. The carer's allowance is someone, often it's their full-time job to care for another person, to keep them from having to enter the care of the state. So no one could ever call the carer's allowance a freebie. A pension, you've contributed to society your entire life. There is no way anyone could call a pension a freebie. So, you know, and I know you were going on to make that point, but I just think, you know, I wanted to make it as well, to be really, really clear that carers work incredibly, incredibly hard in the home.
We do, and it's very disappointing when you see that sort of commentary online when something is announced and they say, oh, why should I bother going to work? There's no incentive for me to go to work when they're getting this. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm a family carer to 5, right? It has been a horrendous week in our house this week, which is why anybody watching on YouTube, I apologise for my non-ironed shirt and lack of eyeliner today.
I've no excuse, though.
But, you know, basically the straw that broke the camel's back in our house this week was that our one child who has no additional needs took a viral infection. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back, yet we have 3 other kids with additional needs and 2 with complex medical needs.
I'm not looking for figures as such, because I wouldn't pry, but can you give us a sense of, not necessarily your situation, but I know people engage with you, the reality of trying to stretch carers' allowance to cover life?
Well, yes, and likewise, there has been people that have reached out to me, and I specifically remember this one lady who I'm still in contact with, and because I check in with her, make sure everything's going okay, and likewise, to give her some anonymity, I wouldn't say her name because she has kids in school as well, but we had talked about it, and I said I would raise the issue with the likes of family carers and different areas where I could try and lobby for better services and better supports. And my heart broke for her last year. It was around October of last year, and she reached out to me, and she was in my home, and she was quite upset. She's on carers allowance. She has 2 children with quite complex needs, and her husband had to take a leave of absence from work, and she had €27 left in her purse, and her electric was going to be cut off the next day. But she didn't know whether to pay some off her electric or to buy food with the €27. And then she said to me, if I buy the food, I'm not going to have the power to put it in the fridge anyway. And she, you know, I explained, you know, there was food banks available, St. Vincent de Paul, and she was saying, I can't go into the town and have people see me doing that. My kids are in school, and, you know, and so we actually arranged for her to go to a separate town where she would feel more comfortable doing it. And somebody actually, when I visited that food bank with her, I went in to explain her situation, because at the start she really didn't even want to go in the next town, and it was really hard for her, and I don't think people understand how hard that is to put your foot over the door of a food bank.
I wonder, a lady like that, and there are thousands of them and men around the county, what they have for themselves. You know, would she ever be able to go and get her hair done and get her nails done, have 5 minutes for herself, go out to lunch with friends? I mean, none of that. I'm not saying lots of people do that either, Emma, but, you know, when you're at the point whereby you're trying to divvy out €27 between food and electricity, you know, and it's not a once-off, it's an ongoing thing. Like, that's an awful way to have to live your life. Now, I'm not saying getting your hair done is everything, but I was trying to come up with examples of, like, where is the self-care for that lady in her life to keep her healthy, to keep her mind on the straight and narrow?
Well, this is absolutely it. And you see, the thing is that I remember when we got that lady sorted, you know, the relief on her, because somebody's heart went out to her so much, and he asked not to be named, but he was working, he works in conjunction with a lot of charities. He actually paid money off her electric to keep her electric on for her so that she could pick the food from the food bank, and the wee bit of euros she had left to put money. And when I tell you, that woman sobbed that day to know that she would still have electric and still be able to feed her kids.
That was the victory. That was
her self-care that day, which is the sad part.
So in terms of universal payments, which we have experienced, and you're quite right to point out that a millionaire got the payment equally to someone who didn't. We had that conversation yesterday, and it is by coincidence, and 99 times out of 100 these things are by coincidence. We had someone on from the Letterkenny Food Bank saying the demands on the services are unprecedented. That people are. It's not just Christmas. It's all of the time. And people used to come when they had a tough week in a month, but now they're coming, every other week because it's the only way to survive. And of course, in excess of 400 people are in arrears on their electricity bill already. Yes. So you can imagine chasing that to try and get into the blank.
And yet we look at the profit these companies are making. Huge, extortionate profits that they're making.
I bit my tongue on that, Emma, because when you were speaking earlier on, there's a couple of things going on at the same time here, if you'll just indulge me for a second. Firstly, we pay some of the highest electricity rates in all of Europe. Yet a third of our energy is generated by the wind and solar. We have the ESB going on national radio while many people are still without electricity, saying that we're going to have to pick up the bill. And then we have schemes like the electricity credits, which it's not compelling electricity companies to charge less. It's taking money from the taxpayer and actually saying, right, you know what, you're charging whatever the hell you want to charge, and we're going to give you taxpayers' money. And we welcome that and we want it retained, but that's the corner we've been painted into, that we'll accept taxpayers' money massaging the profits of big business because it will help some in society.
Yet then we have, and I hate to be the one, I'm not trying to beat anybody with the bad stick here, but then we have now these 4 super junior ministers who are going to be earning 200,000 a year, 160, but then you add on their expenses. And yet we're saying to somebody on a pension of €278 a week, we can't afford to help you any longer.
Yep. A caller says many working families are living from week to week who are also vulnerable families. I think we need to redefine what a run. Now, I've not been speaking exclusively about carers or what have you.
This is across the board.
This is across the board. And many of those that are using food banks are workers, by the way. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Both me and Emma are very, very understanding of that. But I'll finish the text. Absolutely. Many working families are living from week to week who are also vulnerable families. I think we need to redefine what is vulnerable or what a vulnerable family is. I can barely live week to week despite my husband and myself having full-time jobs. So
I know of nurses who sleep in their cars at hospitals because they're choosing between putting petrol in their car or paying their mortgage. This is across. I'm talking about vulnerable families across the board. I'm just giving examples of areas where maybe I would have more expertise in with people reaching out to me, or my own personal experiences. But I know of many families who have 2 people working, and I mean 2 people working in what a couple of years ago would have been considered, one of those really good jobs, one of those ones where you wouldn't have been struggling. I know of members of the armed forces whose wives have spoke out and said they've had to use food banks.
Mm-hmm. A caller says, what's the difference between a carer and a mother looking after her own kids? I think that's, with respect to the texter, and maybe we can help here, I think that's someone who hasn't walked a day in Emma or somebody else's shoes. There's a very significant difference. It's up to you, Emma, if you want to outline it.
Well, there's a vastly for example, you hear many carers say this: I don't deny that my child is my responsibility. My children are my children, and I desperately love my children. But for example, the vast difference is that we have a hospital bed in our home, we have a hoist, we have a specialised shower chair, we have CPAP machines for nighttime, we have special dietary requirements in this house. For example, I went with my daughter to the speech and language therapist so that I could learn what would happen if she was to aspirate into her lungs, which she has done on occasion. I've performed CPR on my own child who has had respiratory arrest due to epileptic seizures. And with due respect to that person texting in, that is clearly somebody who has never been a carer and who has never literally watched the life drain from their child's face and pump with all your might with your own hands to try and get it back.
Holiday homes that have electricity were also gifted the cost of living electricity package, and they don't live in this jurisdiction. But I don't like, because pitching different parts of society against each other, be them holiday homeowners or working poor or carers. That's how the public get controlled, because they fight with each other, and it's like that that Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing in different directions. Okay, I mean, the bottom line is that holiday homeowners or working poor or carers aren't responsible for the decisions that are made. That is that comes from high above. So ideally, you'd like, I presume, to see these measures retained and targeted, so that the important resources go. And we can achieve that. We've seen that in the past. It is doable. We're all on computers now. You know.
Absolutely. Listen, in reference to people who might sit back and go, carers are always crying about this, or what's the difference between them and this and that and the on. But here's the thing. Look, we do a massive amount of work, right? And we'll continue to do it. We'll continue to dig deep for our loved ones for as long as is possible. We'll fight with every last bit of energy we have. And even when we have none left, we dig deeper and we find it again. And the thing is, when you're doing that and you're exhausted because you're functioning on 3, maybe 4 hours sleep a night, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're also trying, like, I would love to be able to go out to work full time. I would love to have that bit of something for me outside of being a mother and a carer. And that was how the wee Donegal Mammy came about, because I needed something for me other than just being that person who gets up, does all these things, loves her children desperately. But I was sort of losing a sense of myself. Mm-hmm. And people were reaching out to me, and I said, right, this is a way that I can almost humanize myself again.
Right, okay, before we go, we've a job to do here, because there's a fella needs to pick me up. I don't think he realises how much he's contributing. Hello, I'm a father who is a carer who feels I don't contribute in the family at all. My partner works full time, so I gave up work to care for our baby. I really feel useless at times when it comes to contributing to the home. We're working on a budget week to week. Now, that man has really stepped up to the plate there, and I think is doing amazing stuff contributing to the house. And that's, forget the traditional gender roles for a second. Your partner's out working full time, and you're doing an invaluable job in the house, raising your baby together. And she knows, I presume it's a she, that she's out working and that she can come home and the family's safe and what have you. Contribution is not always financial. It's it's emotional. It's a caring within the family. That fella needs to cop himself on, and I mean that with love, and realise he's making a massive contribution to that family home.
Listen, what I would say to that man is, you are what your child needs at the moment. Do you know what I mean? You are doing a fantastic job. Nobody can love or care for your child like you can, except for maybe the mum who has to be out working. But here's the thing. You have stepped up to that responsibility, and you've said, listen, I've got this. I've got a hold of this. I can tell you now, being able to turn to my husband and say to my husband, I'm struggling with this, that, or the on, and knowing that he's got my back is more invaluable than any money that would ever be handed in. Mm-hmm. Now, my husband works abroad, but my point is that having that person there that is in this team with you, is invaluable. Yeah.
And I think it's also too, like a mum at home too, that there might be other things going on. Like, you have to maintain your connections with your friends as much as possible, which doesn't mean, going out every weekend, 3 nights a week. You can do it in different ways, or playing five-a-side or a men's shed or something as well too. Mm-hmm. It's possible that that person, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, might feel the walls are closing in a little bit too. So to make sure that they find a little bit of space for them, although it can get very competitive in the evening because he's exhausted looking after the baby, and then mom comes home exhausted, and it's a tired off. I'm tired. No, I'm tired. But you do have to work it out and chat to your partner. Yeah.
It becomes a competitiveness of who's tireder.
Yeah, exactly. But you do have to chat to your partner and say and find a wee bit of space for yourself as well. Yeah. Emma, listen, thanks for the contribution. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourself.
No problem.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Greg. Bye-bye.
Bye. That's social commentator Emma Gopher, the wee Donegal Mammy, who was reacting to the news from on Taoiseach that cost of living measures will not be in the next budget. What do you think? A caller says the government got voted back in for another 5 years, so they don't need to buy votes now. Cost of living should be targeted at the people who need it. But these people are now paying for the minister's new excessive salaries, says that listener.
Need expert care without the wait. Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show, have you covered. Walk in Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place for expert injury and illness care. Opening offer, just €100 consultation fee.
Right now, at B&Q, painting just got cheaper. Save big on brands like Dulux and Lick. With incredible savings across selected interior paint, you can transform your space for less. Shop in store or online at diy.ie. Hurry, ends 3rd of March. You can do it when you B&Q it. Subject to availability. See diy.ie for details.
For an efficient, mild hybrid system that doesn't compromise on the joy of driving, test drive the Mazda CX-30. This compact, stylish SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty. Test drive the 251 Mazda range at McGinley Motors, Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
Hey, see that road sign?
Which one?
That white one with the black circle and 5 diagonal lines in the middle.
Yeah?
What does that mean again?
It now means that you should drive 60 kilometres an hour or slower.
Ah, okay. This sign on local and rural roads means drive at 60 kilometres an hour or below and always according to the road and weather conditions. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
Winter sale now on at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. Amazing prices on made-to-order kitchens, sliding wardrobes and much more. Don't miss your chance to transform your home at unbeatable prices. Book your appointment today at cherrymore.ie or call 07497 25822. Cherrymore, 28 years of adding quality and value to your home.
It's the Highland Radio 35th Birthday Bash, and we are throwing one big party to celebrate. Join us for our birthday concert on Monday the 31st of March in the Mount Errigal Hotel with a huge lineup of stars, including Michael English, Jimmy Buckley, Patrick Feeney, Hugo Duncan, Claudia Buckley, Connell Gallen and me, David James, all accompanied by my new band. Tickets are only €30 and are on sale from the hotel reception and online at highlandradio.com and usual retail outlets. Overnight packages are also available. Let's celebrate 35 years of Highland Radio together with a special night of music.
So, as I mentioned earlier on, reports today that a majority of primary school aged children have unsupervised access to smart devices in their bedrooms. This, according to new research. And I did suggest, sort of in a bit of a commentary on it, that it's tough for parents and caregivers to balance everything that's going on in life, and also to have the knowledge and to keep up with the emerging knowledge all the time of what's happening online. You know, can you really monitor something if you don't necessarily fully understand what you're monitoring in the first place? Knowledge is power in this regard. Let's see if Jane McGarrigle, National Coordinator at Webwise, can give us some advice, and I'm sure you can. Jane, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on, and happy Safer Internet Day.
Yes, indeed. Just some reaction to that survey. It didn't surprise me, but I suppose when you see it in black and white, it is quite alarming, considering that we would be much more strict, as we all know, in the real world, the physical world, but dangers are there on the internet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, parents play a really, really important role in supporting their children and teens online. But most of us didn't actually grow up in this digital world. We didn't receive lessons in schools or develop digital media literacy skills. So this is something that parents and guardians need support with. And today is Safer Internet Day. And it's a great opportunity for parents and families to go, do you know what, it's a good time to check in. And Webwise, who are part of the Irish Safer Internet Centre, alongside our colleagues in ISPCC, National Parents Council and Hotline.ie, have a whole range of free resources available to support parents. So if you go onto the Webwise Parents Hub, for example, you'll find explainer guides to the most popular apps your child or teen might be using, things like Fortnite, Roblox, social media platforms, TikTok. We have helpful talking points to start the conversation, to talk about making friends online, practical how-to guides about setting up parental controls. So really, you know, the most important thing parents can do to support their children online is to have a good relationship with them, and to have regular conversations and to put rules in place as well, and boundaries.
Well, that's it, you see. A lot of it, once you get over the understanding of it and get your head around it, and there are tools for that, which we'll explain a little later on, sometimes the problem is actually saying no. You know, my friends at school do this. Why can't I do that? You know, once we get our head around the technology, that is still a massive hurdle that some parents struggle with. How do you say no?
Yeah, and the pester power is real. If a popular game sweeps across the classroom, or suddenly everybody seems to be using Snapchat or Instagram. So it is really important that we have these conversations, and we encourage families to kind of sit down and develop a family agreement and involve children and teens in the discussion so they understand the rules, they have had some say in the rules. It is okay to say no if you don't feel your child is the right age for social media. Every child and teen is different and they have different maturity levels. It is perfectly okay to say no, not right now, but we will revisit it.
So what tools are available there? What tools are available for people?
So we have the WebWise Parents Hub, as I mentioned, the ISPCC Digital Ready Hub. Our other partner, National Parents Council, have a brilliant helpline available for parents to talk to. Today we're actually hosting an event in Microsoft Dreamspace here in Dublin, where we're bringing together experts to talk about the things we can do to foster children's digital media literacy, to look at how we can ensure better platform safety by design, and look at regulation, the important role that plays as well. And we know schools are taking part in Safer Internet Day across the country today, and WebWise offers lots of free resources to help schools. There's activities, lessons, videos, quizzes, and they're all available from our website.
A lot of the conversation I've had about this in this seat over the years, Jane, is sort of the default position is young people coming of age using this technology. Parents, caregivers weren't raised with this technology and are trying to play catch up, and stuff is retrospective. What are we doing, or what should we be doing to say someone now who's 22 or 25 or 35 or whatever their age might be, that has a 3 or 4 or 5 year old, but is actively not just educating them about being safe in the real world, okay, but hand in hand, naturally pointing out the dangers in the cyber world, let me put it like that. Do you get where I'm coming from? So that we accept that whilst we are parenting and guarding in the real world, don't do this, don't talk to that person, stay careful there, that we are automatically also from an early age instilling sort of a set of values for the online space. I would love to see us really focusing on that now, because as I say, an awful lot of it seems to be catch up. Are we also working on preventing this into the future?
Yeah, so and I think your point there from an early age is really, really important, and that's vital. If your child is accessing the internet in any way, shape or form, it is really important that you have a conversation with them about it. It's also really important that you help them find good content. If they are spending time online, there's a lot of really bad or poor quality content online that we can, spend a lot of time on. These platforms are designed to keep our attention, and to help them find suitable stuff that kind of supports their own interests as well.
All right, listen, thanks, Jane, for your time. Just point us where we can go online just to get more information.
webwise.ie/parents, lots of free advice and
Brilliant
expert
stuff.
advice.
And it might seem overwhelming, but it's not really. You just get the knowledge into your own head and it makes things a little bit easier. All right, thanks so very much indeed for that. That comes in from Jane there. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, proud sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
For all you hard workers and multitaskers, those who come to work with big ambitions and bigger ideas, and all you legends of the trade, However you get the job done, there's a Volkswagen commercial vehicle for your business. Choose the new Transporter, Caddy Cargo, Crafter, Amarok, or the all-electric ID Buzz Cargo. Enjoy HB finance from 0% or purchase contributions of up to €2,000. Find the Volkswagen in you with the 251 range. Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit volkswagenvans.ie for further information.
Shannon Airport has officially been voted Ireland's favourite airport.
Which was great to hear. Mind you, we've actually always thought we had handy parking, famously short queues, a great bunch of people, seamless security, and a list of amazing destinations to fly to. So really, it's just nice to know everybody else agrees. Officially Ireland's favourite airport. You can't really argue with that. Shannon Airport. Making it easy.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
It'll be mostly cloudy today with a little patchy light rain and drizzle at times. Cold, highest temperatures of 4 to 7 degrees and light to moderate easterly breezes. Sarah Keaveney is Education Manager with the Electoral Commission. Good morning to you, Sarah. Thanks for your time today.
Good morning. How are you, Greg?
I'm doing good. Now, there's a simple enough call out here. It's trying to get more people engaged in democracy. It's quite frustrating, especially sitting in a seat like this where you spend hours each week or year, especially in the run-up to a local election or general election or a referendum for that matter, and people seem really, really exercised and flexed and then, or vexed, and then next thing you know, 1 in 2 people don't bother voting. But we shouldn't give up.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we would see that there was over 9 million votes cast last year between all of the elections, but we want to improve on that, and that's what the strategy is about. So, I mean, our goals with this strategy are really quite simple, Greg. We want all those eligible to vote to be on the electoral register. We want people to understand how to vote and how their vote works, actually. And then finally, that everyone on the register should vote at all electoral events.
I think, too, there's a bit of frustration in the public, Sarah, and it is a different issue, but it's related as well, in that they're not really confident about turnout figures because they're not really sure how reliable the electorate actually is the total vote and dividing how many voted into that. We get it every time, people getting double yes. polling cards and all that type of stuff. We need to fix that in tandem. As I say, they are related at the same time. Before we get back to getting people out to vote, what are we doing, rather than talking about it 2 months before the next election, to tidy up the register so we actually get a sense of what's going on?
So the Commission Tarcon, or the Electoral Commission, are actually in the process of preparing a report on the electoral register and the steps that are being taken to improve the register itself. I suppose we see this as the other side, or the flip side of that. Really getting people educated on the various democratic processes. And part of that is joining the electoral register and understanding how that works. So we believe that all of these things will really help to improve that situation, Greg, and move away from those issues that exist.
You're looking for input into how we can get people more engaged with Ireland's democratic system. Who's the shout out to? I mean, obviously it's individuals, groups. What kind of ideas would be welcome? It's one of those things, isn't it? You don't want to limit it by giving examples, but as best you can sort of frame it for me.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the way we look at this is this strategy on voter education will affect everyone. So we are looking for input from everyone. So as you say, Greg, groups, organizations, individuals, schools, teachers, students, really important people that vote every time, but equally important people that don't vote or have never bothered, because we really want to understand how we can help people to get involved and participate in the process. So we are casting the net really wide on this one, and it is everyone and anyone.
Do we have the information, or would it be worth gathering as to who votes and who doesn't vote? You know, what groups do vote? What's the turnout amongst the travelling community? What's the turnout amongst people aged 18 to 25 or over 60? You know, do we have that info so we can actually say, for instance, to use a traveller representative organisation might say, right, well, we know statistically this is the turnout. We are going to apply and see what we can do to engage the people we represent a bit more. I had to pick one group out.
Yes,
I don't know
of
what the
course.
stats are, but it's just for an example, Sarah.
I mean, we are certainly starting to gather data on this sort of thing, and there is some existing data. I can say that for the education strategy, we have met, for example, some travellers groups, we have met disability organisations or people who experience barriers to participation. So, I mean, the shout out would go to them as well to participate and to get back to us on this education strategy so that we can, you know, really try and hone some of these practical sort of ideas as to how to help people become informed and want to be engaged in the process.
And it's reaching them in the spaces they're active, isn't it? I mean, you might have a Brazilian population now living in Ireland that may not tune in to Highland Radio and might be in different groups or on social media. How do you engage with them in the platforms that they populate?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard, Greg, as you know yourself. We do our best. We have a sort of a national campaign running with this strategy, and we do a lot of work. Certainly, myself and my colleagues would try and meet as many different groups and representative groups as we can. But we use social media. We are in print media, on the radio. We try and exercise all of the avenues available to us to really get the message out there. But as you say, Greg, it's really important to meet people where they are.
Yeah.
We don't want people to think they have to come to us. We also, and we're a small organisation, but we do our best to get out and meet people as well.
And with that in mind, if there is a representative group, a representative body of groups, right? They make suggestions to the commission. Is it then the commission that explores the suggestion, or is the commission perhaps going to give them funding so that they could lead something out? Do we know at this point how that side of things works?
So the process, Greg, is that we have this 6-week public consultation. So we're running until the 24th of March. And we'll gather up all of the suggestions and insights we get from the public. And then we're going to bring them off and really interrogate them. We have 4 groups of individuals that are experts in their own fields. And we're going to interrogate these results with the groups to then sort of come up with a plan or a strategy as to how to bring this forward. That then will go for a second round of public consultation to make sure that we're really being as comprehensive as we can be with this strategy. And then from that, the sort of the plan, I suppose then the real work will begin.
The plan
Greg,
emerges
you know
from that, I get you,
Yeah.
and how best to be it may be implemented, and that really has to be guided by the suggestions and what have you. So it's simple, isn't it? electioncommission.ie/consultation. And the information is there. And if is it available in different languages?
So we're in English and Irish, and we'll accept your submissions in the post either. So people who maybe don't have access to
But you
the
can
internet.
see the barrier here if it's only available in English or Irish here, because it means that potentially those who we're trying to reach may not be able to engage or feel they can engage effectively in those 2 languages.
Yeah, so I mean, we would work through as well certain organisations that might be able to help us with issues like that, you know, where there are language barriers.
All right, great stuff. Thanks very much indeed. That is Sarah Keevan, Education Manager with the Electoral Commission. We'll be back after the news and obituary notices.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place, Letterkenny.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Wow, that was a quick flight. Never mind. Bondi Beach, Barrier Reef, here we come. Holiday of a lifetime. Can't wait.
Me neither.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll shortly be landing in Austria.
Austria? We're supposed to be going to Australia. Oh, what have you done?
I
should have gone to Specsavers. Book an eye test online.
Does anyone have any long trousers I could borrow?
I've only got a bikini, Andy.
The speed limit on many rural local roads has been reduced from 80 to 60 kilometres per hour. As speed contributes to a third of fatal collisions, this greatly reduces the risk of death and keeps everyone on the roads safer. Your local authority has implemented the 80 to 60 kilometre reduction on your road network. Slower speeds, safer roads. Visit gov.ie/speed limits. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Discover the new Nissan range at iMotors. If it's design you're after, stand out from the crowd with the next generation Nissan Juke. Available in both petrol and hybrid. The Nissan Qashqai is available as a petrol or e-power hybrid, giving you that electric feel without plugging in. Need more space? The Nissan X-Trail offers 7 seats and comes as an e-power hybrid. And for those ready to go green, the Nissan Ariya and Leaf are fully electric. Available now for a test drive. Just call into our showroom in Letterkenny or Malin today.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Ireland's biggest ever tribute weekend is coming back to Donegal. Trib Bash 2025 is taking place at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny on the 14th and 15th of February. 6 of the nation's very best tribute shows take to the stage with show-stopping acts including Friday the 14th of February, Fleetwood Mac, Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash and June Carter. Saturday the 15th of February, The Eagles, Shania Twain and ABBA. Limited tickets available only online at eventbrite.ie. Trib Bash 2025 at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. The Taoiseach has indicated there won't be any energy credits in Budget 2026 to be announced later this year. They've been given over the past few years as part of the state's cost of living measures to deal with high electricity prices. The move has been widely criticised. Emma Gova is a family carer of 5 and a social commentator in Donegal. She says people regularly reach out to her, including one woman who last year had to decide between buying food or paying off some of her electricity bill.
She's on carers allowance. She has 2 children with quite complex needs, and her husband had to take a leave of absence from work. And she had €27 left in her purse, and her electric was going to be cut off the next day. But she didn't know whether to pay some off her electric or to buy food with the €27. And then she said to me, if I buy the food, I'm not going to have the power to put it in the fridge anyway. And she, I explained, there was food banks available, St. Vincent de Paul, and she was saying, I can't go into the town and have people see me doing that.
Donegal County Council is being urged to take the lead on hosting an information day for professionals and builders engaging with defective concrete block grant scheme applications. Chair of the Council's DCB committee, Councillor Martin McDermott, says there's repeat issues with forms being submitted, which in turn is causing delays in payments for those carrying out remedial works. A promise made by the Department of Housing 3 years ago to host a similar initiative is yet to come to fruition. Councillor McDermott says, though, it needs to happen now as a matter of urgency.
At the minute, what I feel is happening, that what the council are looking for and what the building professionals are doing, there's a sort of an anomaly there where, there's mistakes being made and things are not being filled in right. And to be fair to the professionals and be fair to the council, I think it'd be important if everyone sat down and there was a presentation made by the council and by the housing agency explaining exactly what they want and how they want it. It would make it a lot simpler for families, because at the end of the day, we can't have a situation where builders are waiting money.
A man is due in court in around half an hour's time, charged in relation to the stabbings in Stoneybatter, Dublin. 3 men were injured during the apparent random attack on Sunday afternoon. Gardaí arrested a man in his 20s shortly after the incident. He's now been charged and is due before Dublin District Court. Calving season can be a physically and mentally draining time of year for farmers. The IFA is advising farmers to think about their own safety when working alongside animals. The spring calving season for 2025 is in full swing on farms across the country. IFA Deputy President Alice Doyle says preparation is key.
Make sure your calving pens are prepared, that it's safe, that you have a calving gate between yourself and the cow, that you won't be attacked by an angry man. The older cow, I suppose, is used to calving, but you must still be careful of them. But certainly a maiden heifer calving will always be a little more anxious. It's quite possible that that animal would turn on the farmer. So it's important that calving gates are used and that every precaution is taken.
There's an increased risk of children being exposed to inappropriate sexual content online. Research by CyberSafe Kids has found 82% of children are allowed to use their phones unsupervised in their bedrooms. Only 35% say their parents can see what they're doing online. Clinical psychologist Dr. David Coleman says adults need to be more aware of what's happening on their children's devices.
No parent in their right mind would fly into London, drop their 9-year-old off at the Natural History Museum and say, look, I'll be back in 2 hours, mind yourself in there now. But that's what we do with children and the internet, and we leave them for hours at a time, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing where they're going online, not knowing what they're being exposed to. And I think that's the real danger.
Donald Trump says the ceasefire deal in Gaza should be cancelled if Hamas doesn't release all hostages by Saturday. The militant groups delayed the release of further captives, with both sides accusing each other of violating the truce. The US president says it was ultimately up to Israel, but warned all hell would break out if they weren't freed. Dr. Haggy Levine heads the health team at the Hostages and Missing Families Forum.
The hostages are in a clear and present danger. Their lives are at risk. Those who are still in there may be in worse conditions. They simply don't have time.
Looking now to the weather, it'll be mostly cloudy today with light patchy rain and drizzle at times, cold with highest temperatures of 4 to 7 degrees. That's all for now from Highland Radio News, back with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, February 11th. The death has taken place of Carol Laird, Churchtown, Carrigan, St Johnston. Her remains will repose at her home today from 12 noon until 10 p.m. Funeral from her home tomorrow at 12 noon for 1 o'clock funeral service at St Eunan's Cathedral, Raphoe, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Letterkenny University Hospital ICU, care of Terence McClintock, funeral director. The death has taken place at his home of Martin Conley, 25, Castle Grange Park, Strabane, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow at 9:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place in Australia of Sadie Borthwick, nee McDade, John Street, Derry. Mass for the happy repose of her soul will be held in St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn, tomorrow at 7 p.m. The death has taken place of Noreen Houston, nee Curran, Shrochran, Filcara. Funeral Mass will take place at the Christ the King Church, Gorta Hork this morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in the adjacent cemetery. House private to family only please before the funeral this morning. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has occurred of Matthew Matt Cutliff, the Mountain House, Buncrana. Matt's remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, leaving at 10 a.m. for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Matt's funeral can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Death has occurred of Jimmy Doherty, Mean Tully Nagaran, Killybegs. Remains are reposing at his residence. Removal tomorrow at 10:30 to St Mary of the Visitation Church, Killybegs, for 11 a.m. funeral mass. Mass will be streamed on mcn.live. Burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu to the Irish Heart Foundation. The death has taken place of Joe Patterson, 3 Bridge Street, Ramelton, reposing at his home today from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. Requiem Mass tomorrow at 11 a.m. in St Mary's Church, Ramelton, burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv, family time on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Patrick Sweeney Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Stuart Hamilton, Karen Shanna, Burnfoot. Stuart's remains are reposing at his home. Removal from there this afternoon at 1:45 to Fawn Presbyterian Church for funeral service at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in St Mary's Church of Ireland, Graveyard Fawn. Family time, please, today. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to St Luke's Hospital, Dublin, care of any family member or Sean Murphy Funeral Director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Introducing Instagram teen accounts with new built-in protections. Content and comments are automatically filtered to help make sure what teenagers see is more age-appropriate. And teenagers under 16 require parental approval to change these protections. Instagram teen accounts. New built-in protections for parents' peace of mind. Learn more at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Good morning again. You're very welcome back to the second hour of this Tuesday's 9 till noon show. Coming up, we will have Community Garda information with Garda Grania Doherty. So stay tuned for that. It's the first time you'll hear live the latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána. I recently hosted a birthday party for a group of 11-year-old boys, and it was an eye-opener. A few of the kids brought their phones and they were calling girls from their class in Snapchat groups and making innuendos. Then, while swiping through YouTube shorts, they accidentally saw something inappropriate in one of the videos. It was definitely a wake-up call about how quickly kids can access things they aren't ready for. It's a bit scary how much they're exposed to without even trying. The thing that kind of exposes the puke that is social media is on TikTok. And who's on TikTok and why they use it. And there was a video of young girls dancing which come up on my For You page because there's a relation there. So it was just pushed forward to it, and it was innocent enough. But the video had been favorited 1,500 times. 1,500 times. Your average video, check if you've got your own TikTok, see how many times your videos have been favorited. Even ones that go somewhat viral do not get favorited that much. And the only reason I could conclude is that there was some sick people out there were favoriting it for their own nefarious reasons. That's really what concerns me, especially if I had a daughter, in using apps like TikTok. Good morning. Surely people realise now that this government was elected on lies about housing numbers and a giveaway budget. This government only cares about themselves and their cronies. Hi, Greg. As your guest said, ESB's massive profits. If they had looked after the infrastructure long before storm poles rotting, lying to one side, waiting to fall down, no trimming, these ESB workers are averaging over 1,000 a year up and down streets all day, twiddling thumbs. Then a storm hits, takes all faulty poles on tree damage, then they get paid tens of thousands in overtime, but sure, well, charge the people we're cutting off more to pay us for the damage. A joke. I don't think the ESB workers are getting that kind of money or actually are twiddling their thumbs, but that's your view. I heard that girl on before and I admire her so much. A great voice for carers. That's Emma, the wee Donegal mammy. I give out about this all the time, Greg. Parents letting their children have Snapchat and the like. It's part laziness, part lack of information. iPhones and Android phones come with strong parental controls. You just have to be bothered to set it up. I can see everything my daughter does on her phone through the Google Family Link app. Another is President Trump going too far. All his tariff threats and plans will be taken out and cause more trouble. I don't know what his motivation is. He uses tariffs as a bargaining chip, and I'll get shot for saying it by some, but some say it does work. It brings, like say, for instance, the aluminium and steel tariff. Australia have already said, look, we want to be excluded for that. Let's have a chat. So whatever he's looking for off Australia, that's how he's going to achieve it through the tariffs. Please ask Sarah if compulsory voting is the way forward. Well, the Commission wouldn't actually give that opinion in any case. They only look for the people's opinions. They don't offer their own opinions. Let 16-year-olds vote and you'll get a big turnout. That's a conversation we often have, isn't it? Well done, wee Donegal Mammy, on your response to the lady that doesn't understand the difference of being a carer and caring for your kids. A good wake-up call for that lady. That lady needs. Now, I don't know if it was a lady or a man that sent it in. They just sent it in. The salaries and spend set by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael government ministers are so out of touch with the ordinary people, especially those who are struggling, says a listener. Even the ministers who were in power or charged during the economic crash, now retired, are getting on quite well on big pensions. Another, some of the ridiculous reason for increased electricity costs, the banning of Irish peat products to reduce emissions. Borden Ammonia used to supply peat to fuel our main power plant in the Midlands. Since the ban, we now import wood pellets from Brazil. The wood pellets are obtained by the destruction of the rainforest and then shipped across the planet and delivered by multiple heavy-duty trucks. Lunacy, they say. I was sent videos by numerous people yesterday on my own social media, and I really do appreciate that level of sort of interaction and keeping us ahead of things. And it was a video there was a collision on the Polestar roundabout yesterday involving a lorry or two lorries. And as you can imagine, the 4 lanes backed up as it does immediately. And no criticism from the emergency services, but in order to either get through the traffic or to get access to that road traffic collision, a emergency vehicle had to drive up the footpath and cycle lane. And it did beg the question, and I posed the question, was it, and it's only a question, was this an upgrade? Was it money well spent? And lots of people commented, and it's not the first time they've seen it. They've seen out. There was comments from people who've been in the back of ambulances, sitting in traffic on the 4 lanes, sirens blaring. They can't get access to the roundabout because traffic's backed up. And as I say, yesterday, the icing on the cake is that we've got this multi-million euro investment. It was to be 2 or 3 million, then it doubled. Some saying it cost over 10 in the end. And emergency vehicles having to drive up across the footpath and the cycle lane to get access either to the road traffic collision or to get through it. It really is quite remarkable. It seems the public are quite upset about it. But is it a fait accompli, or do you believe that maybe adjustments should be made to accommodate emergency vehicles on that road? Let us know what you think. 08660 25,000. Right, quick birthday request, and I'm not rushing through it, by the way. We're more than happy to play requests and dedications on this show. I tend to do them around about this time, actually, it seems, by accident rather than design, but I've been asked to please wish a very happy birthday to Shauna Gallagher. She's on the Donegal Road in Ballybofey. Happy birthday, Shauna, with lots of love coming in from your mum and your dad.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 11th of February. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S12. It's game number 7. The numbers are 86, 12, 30, 20, 5, 16, 90, 73, 39, and finally 64. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Visit Dunn Stores this Valentine's Day for the love of better value. Raise a glass to romance with a great selection of red, white and sparkling wines like Paco and Lola Albarino from €15 or less. Share an indulgent box of chocolates. Selected range including Nestlé Dairy Box and Cadbury Milk Tray. Now half price. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunn Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Voucher excludes alcohol. Please drink sensibly.
For an efficient, mild hybrid system that doesn't compromise on the joy of driving, Test drive the Mazda CX-30. This compact, stylish SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty. Test drive the 251 Mazda range at McGinley Motors, Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
Braca Perth Blackface Sheep Breeders Association, in conjunction with Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Association and Slieve League Blackface Sheep Breeders Association, will hold an in-lamb yo and dry hogget sale this Saturday 15th of February at 12 noon at Braca Clohan Cooperative Mart. Online bidding available on marti.ie.
Need expert care without the wait? Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show, have you covered. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place for expert injury and illness care. Opening offer just €100 consultation
The
fee.
Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91260025.
It is Tuesday, the 11th of February, and it's time for this week's Community Garda information. This week in the company of Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. Hi, Grania.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
I'm doing the best.
This is good. Right, we've quite a bit to get through, so we'll crack straight on. We'll start with an appeal. And it's a burglary in the Rafo area, Grania.
Yes, this burglary happened at a house in the area of Castle Grove in Rafo between 8 p.m. on Sunday the 9th of February and 11 a.m. on Monday the 10th. The house was vacant overnight. Entry was gained, but no damage was caused in order to gain that entry. The owner returned home to find the back door ajar. A number of items had been moved round and disturbed and thrown over within the house, but nothing was stolen. And we're just appealing to anybody, particularly residents in that area. If anybody observed any suspicious activity in that area between Sunday night and Monday morning, we're asking them to get in contact with us in Letterkenny on 9167100.
Now, a couple of assaults, unfortunately, starting in Rathmullen, Grania.
Yes, this assault happened at Main Street, Rathmullen, at approximately 20 minutes past midnight on Sunday, the 9th of February. So a man is believed to have been assaulted by another man at that location, and he was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital to receive treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. We're just asking anybody that witnessed the incident, we're asking them to contact Gardaí in Milford on 9153060. And as always, with all of our appeals now, it's a dash cam appeal really we're looking for is of crucial importance to us. So if anybody travelled in that area with a dash cam, we're asking them to please make that footage available to us also.
An assault on the same night, but this time in Buncrana.
Yes, this also happened at Main Street, Buncrana, in the early hours of Sunday the 9th, so in and around 3:15am and 3:45am. A man was assaulted at that location by another man. This other man was unknown to him. The injured man was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital, again to receive treatment for serious but non-life-threatening injuries. We're appealing to anybody who may have relevant information, anybody that may have witnessed this incident, to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 932-0540. And again, as always, dashcam footage would be of crucial importance to our investigation if anybody can.
Indeed, and if people were out and about at that time, it would be hard not to notice that. We wish both people speedy recoveries. Criminal damage next, this time in the south of the county.
Yes, this incident happened between 9:30pm on Friday the 7th of February and 25 past midnight on Saturday the 8th of February at Main Street, Ballyshannon. So during that time period, damage was caused to a parked car. The driver's wing mirror was broken off or kicked off, as the case may be. If anybody witnessed this incident or if they can assist with any relevant information, they can contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530.
And your colleagues in Ballyshannon dealing with an incident in Ballybofey, the theft of Bundoran, I beg your pardon, the theft of a caravan.
Yeah, they're investigating the theft of a caravan from the front of a property in the area of Seacrest in Maharacar, Bundoran. This theft is believed to have occurred between 1pm and 8pm on Thursday the 6th of February. The caravan in question is a white Lunar Chateau. It's a 2007 model. One of the side windows, and this is quite important, somebody may have noticed it. I know there's a lot of caravans around the Bundoran area, so one of the side windows was broken. It had been taped up with blue tape, so that's quite distinctive if anybody remembers seeing that. We're appealing to anybody who may have observed the removal of the caravan from the Seacrest area on that date, if anybody seen it being transported, or if anybody again has useful dashcam information that might be of assistance to us, we're asking them to contact Gardaí in Ballyshannon on 071 985 8530 and the Garda Confidential line. This goes for all of our appeals today. You're welcome to contact the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111.
Yep, that's the 6th of February between 1 and 8pm. So for the most part, it's during daylight hours. So people would have spotted something. And as you said, Granny, that blue tape on one of the windows makes it stand out from potentially other caravans. If you're not a caravan owner, they can tend to all look the same. Right, okay. Now we are heading to Ballybofey, an incident of dangerous driving or alleged dangerous driving being investigated.
Yeah, so Gardaí and Ballybofey are investigating incidents of dangerous driving. This involved a grey Volkswagen, a saloon-style car. This occurred shortly after midnight on Sunday, the 9th of February, in the town in Ballybofey. And as part of that investigation, we're appealing to drivers with a dashcam who may have travelled in the area of the main street, Ballybofey, the Donegal Road out of the town, or on the Mean Glass Road between 20 past midnight and 20 minutes to 1 on that date to make the footage available to us.
Yeah, people will be aware of this incident that the next appeal is about. It's in relation to an incident in Keely Gordon.
Yeah, I think this was quite widely publicised and a lot of homes were without power that night. So this is a road traffic collision. It occurred at Main Street, Keely Gordon on Friday the 7th of February at around 5:55 p.m. So a low-loader lorry, it was carrying a dumper. It had been travelling from Castlefin towards Keely Gordon and it collided with an ESB pole. So some of the wires were brought down there and hence some homes and businesses in that area were left without power for a few hours that evening. The driver didn't remain at the scene. They left in the direction of Ballybofey Stranraer. The road was closed for a time and we're appealing to anybody who may have witnessed the collision, may have witnessed that incident or seen the lorry or can give details in relation to the driver or the lorry to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100. If anybody travelled on the N15 between Castlefin and Ballybofey Stranraer on that date between 5:30 and 6:30, we're asking them to please make that footage available to us.
Right, okay, staying on the roads, there was a road traffic collision in Falcarra earlier this month.
Yes, this collision involved two vehicles. It happened at Carrowcan in Falcarra, so I believe this is just where it happened outside or near enough Falcarra National School. On Saturday the 1st of February in around 6 p.m, a silver Volkswagen Passat with a partial reg of 04DL, it had been driven out of a parking space and into the path of an oncoming van. The driver of the Passat left the area on foot immediately following the collision. So he is being described as being a young male of stocky build and he was wearing a grey hoodie. Substantial damage was caused to the van and thankfully no injuries were reported. We're just asking anybody in that area if they observed this male on foot in the area, or if they have dash cam footage from the area, or if they can assist in any way with any information, to contact Gardaí in Milford on 915 3060.
Yeah, and that confidential line's there as it is for all appeals, 1800 666 1111. We've already mentioned this. It's Safer Internet Day. It is today, isn't it? It's today the 11th?
It is today.
So what's Gardaí's role in this in Donegal?
Well, we're flat out all week, to be honest, and next week we have appointments too at schools and it's great to see it. You know, we're going in giving talks in schools, community policing Gardaí mostly, we're going in around the schools and giving talks in relation to internet safety. And we're encouraging parents in particular to have a look at webwise.ie. There's a wealth of information in there in relation to the protection of their children while online. It's so important to keep up to date as well with all the latest apps and what's going on online, you know, and what your children might be up to while online. And a webinar for parents is actually taking place tomorrow, February 12th. You can register on the Webwise site to take part in that. There's a lot of fantastic resources in there for Gardaí to give their school talks, but for children and teachers also. So we're just encouraging people just to take a few minutes out today, given it is Safer Internet Day, just take a few minutes out of your day, go into Webwise, you know, and see what they have to offer in there.
I'm not looking to put you on the spot, but I know you're across an awful lot of things. Are there many instances reported to Gardaí in this space? Because often we talk about the dangers and how you can avoid the dangers, but we don't necessarily always talk about the fact that, you know, Gardaí might get reports of, you know, suspicious digital approaches to children or whatever it might be. Is that something that comes across the desk often?
Well, I think one of the main issues at the minute, and one of the talks I gave this week was with our juvenile liaison officer within the station, and he spoke to the children and the teachers at a couple of the schools this week with me, and he would say that a lot of issues stem from smartphones. Everybody, all the children, all the youths now seem to have a smartphone, and in particular the sharing of images.
Yeah.
You know, and that's amongst themselves,
like
amongst friends
images,
and amongst intimate images. So we're out in the schools, we're explaining to the children, even I think there's a miscomprehension as well about what an intimate image is. And, you know, we're just explaining to the children, like, that doesn't necessarily mean a nude picture or like the person does not have to be fully undressed for it to constitute an intimate image.
Mhm.
You know, so we're having these important talks with the children.
So
We're
it could
making
be in a
them
swimsuit or something like that.
it could, or underwear.
Or
Underwear
underwear,
would
okay,
constitute, yeah. So, and in particular as well, the fact that these children are under 18, you know, it falls under the Child Pornography Act. And just to make them aware of the seriousness of what's, because I know they probably don't realise, and
That's it, yeah.
they don't realise, you know, the harm that or the trouble that they could possibly get themselves into as well, sending these pictures innocently amongst themselves. So we're out there in the schools, we're talking. That seems to be one of the main issues amongst the youth.
And another thing that we were contacted about, Grania, on a couple of occasions now, we mentioned one on air, but others we dealt with off air, is artificial intelligence created images, whereby we had one really distressed grandmother whose granddaughter, and this is not like cut and pasting nowadays. Artificial intelligence is so advanced that an image was created that appeared to be that young person nude, and that also the sharing of that image, although it's artificial, is also deemed an intimate image, according to some experts we spoke to as well. So that, and it's terrible for the young people, because even though it's not real, there's going to be people that believe it's real, or when you're explaining, you're losing, and it causes incredibly great distress. So, you know, yes, real images, but also let's have a chat to our young people about the creation and sharing of artificially created images. And as well as that too, as you say, these are under 18s, there's specific legislation there, and it's a very serious crime.
It is, yeah, and as I said, it falls under the Child Pornography Act. You know, if a child under 18 sends an image of themselves, they're under 18, that is the distribution of child pornography. You know, if they receive an image of another person under 18 from a classmate or whatever, then that is that's the possession of child pornography. You know, so, and deep fakes, as you spoke about, we spoke to that about the children this week also, about these images that are generated and placing maybe their friend's face on a naked body or on a, you know, half-dressed body, that's an offence. So we're discussing all of these, and, you know, they're very relevant issues within the schools at the minute.
And these are, you know, sexual abuse images in many cases of young people, or personal images, and Grania quite rightly referring to them as you did, because that's the way they're referred to in the legislation. And we have to use the correct terminology there. We can't sugarcoat that, even though there are moves to try and change the child pornography terminology. But that is the legislation under which we're talking about here. And you'll see those words in newspaper articles and what have you. And we can't replace them until such time as they're replaced on the statute book. News on an event just short of a week from now, isn't it? It's a senior service awareness event.
Oh, it is, and I have to give Katie a plug here now, because Katie's
Katie,
doing
our
great work
ex-Katie.
down there. Or your ex, Katie, she's doing great work down there in Cara House. So we're joining her at an event. It's a senior services awareness event. It's going to take place on Monday the 17th between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. at Cara House. So a number of different services, local services, are going to be there. We're going to be there. Gardaí from the Community Policing Unit in Letterkenny to offer information and advice. This is a great opportunity for people to find out about the local services in their area. So we're encouraging people to come along, and we're looking forward to meeting new and also familiar faces there.
Yep,
on the
great
day.
way for people to interact with each other as well. Now, there is a growing buzz around the Donegal team. They're going to host fellow Ulster rivals Armagh. And here's some important traffic information if you intend to attend.
Yeah, so this Sunday, the 16th, as everybody knows at this stage, Donegal, Armagh. The game will take place in McCool Park at Ballybuffet, and throw-ins at 3:45
Wow,
p.m.
you could go on the sports team.
Have you an opening on the sports
No, but you
team?
actually even went on. Throw-in is that full? You really went into full.
Well, I
full
really have
Oisín
you fooled
Kelly
there,
road.
because that's all I know about
Oh,
sports.
well,
So I would really want to brush up on a bit more of my
I
sports.
was the bluffer. That was brilliant. Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Can you do Monday mornings half-8 bulletins?
Oh dear.
Actually, no, we've
So,
Chris for that. Go ahead. Sorry, I beg your pardon. This is actually, by the way, I shouldn't really distract Grania like this, is because for those living in the area, those with limited access or what have you, this is actually really important.
It is, yeah. And look, everybody, Donegal
It's
people
fun and
are
all,
well
but,
used going to Ballybuffet for matches. They know the score, they know the carry on about parking and this and that and what the rules are. But traffic delays, it's going to be a massive game. Massive crowds expected. So traffic delays are to be expected before and after the match. We're going to try our best to assist traffic movement as much as we possibly can. But due to the large numbers who are expected to attend, there's going to be unavoidable delays, unfortunately. So please add a wee bit of extra time for your journey. That's advisable. Parking will be available in several car parks around the town, and we're advising people to use these areas fully. And any vehicles causing an obstruction will be towed away. And this will be done to ensure a free flow of traffic pre and post match.
Well, you have been warned, so if you're causing an obstruction...
Yeah, but even if you're blocking a driveway, if you're blocking, you're blocking access for emergency vehicles, your car's going to be towed away. So that's advance warning now for everybody. Unlimited parking for blue badge holders, that will be available at the car park at the stand entrance. So that's in behind the Villa Rose Hotel. Vehicle access to this car park is round the back of Jackson's Hotel, the back road it's known as, between Jackson's and the Villa Rose. So once full, there will be no further access to this area. There is also limited disabled parking on the main street and in the car parks in the area of the grounds. We're going to put up a post later in the week in relation to the match, and we'll put up a map on that of parking areas available. So further details will be available later in the week on our Facebook page.
Okie doke. Now, the latest Garda recruitment competition campaign's open.
It is. It's open at the minute, and it will close again on the 27th, Thursday the 27th of February at 3 p.m. That's the deadline to apply. So interested candidates are asked to visit www.publicjobs.ie. So we have a couple of events arranged. Just wanted to make people aware of those. A recruitment event will take place on Tuesday the 18th of February between 6 and 9 p.m. That's in Ballybuffet Garda Station. A second event will take place on Wednesday the 19th of February between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. at the library here in Letterkenny Town. So community police and Gardaí will be at these events, and most importantly we'll have a number of trainee Garda members there also. They're fresh out of Templemore, they're going through the training at the minute, and I think they're of great benefit to anybody.
I think we're going to be speaking to one of those on Thursday.
Oh, great,
just sort of get a sense of what it's like and all that type of stuff. You'd recommend someone to join the Guards?
Well, I'm how many years have I done this year? 22 now in September.
Swear.
I know, and you wouldn't think to
old.
look at me. You wouldn't believe it to look at me.
No, you wouldn't.
But
really, 22 years in the Guards.
Yeah, 22. The countdown's on now. You'll be rid of me soon.
Well, there's a few of your colleagues we can't get rid of. So unless you have a different personality to them.
From my perspective, I would recommend. I've thoroughly enjoyed my career in the Guards to date. I really have, I have to say. And I've done, I've been on the regular unit for many a year, and I'm on the community policing unit now for the last 7 or 8 years. I do really enjoy community policing, but like that, I also enjoyed the night shifts and the responding to calls. Things change, just I suppose, in life as you get more responsibilities in life outside of work that, you kind of...
Yeah, I said in the past on the show that, that would I encourage my sons into the Guards, any of them? And the instinctive response was no. And then I was chatting to someone who was in the Guards, and I know lots of you, obviously, and then sort of I realised I was focusing perhaps on some of the negative stuff, right? So maybe some of the abuse Guards get mostly in the cities, but not elsewhere, and what have you. And then I thought more about it, and I thought, maybe I wouldn't be, I found myself wrongly focusing too much on the negatives and not the positives, to be honest with you.
And I do think there's so much positive work that the Guards do that isn't advertised. It's not advertised, and actually, I'll tell you a wee story quick.
Go ahead.
It was actually during the storm there, and it's one of my colleagues, I'll not name her, but I know that she did get a call from an elderly lady who had been without power for a couple of days, and she went off, and I think out of her own pocket she bought her hot water bottles, a couple of hot water bottles. She then went to the takeaway, which was open a few miles up the road. She got her few bits from the hot, and then she called back to her a few days later to make sure that she was still warm enough that she still had food.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of work like that goes on behind the scenes. It's not, and we don't have an opportunity. We don't want to advertise it. That's part of our job as well.
But it is also when we're talking about recruitment campaigns and trying to sort of adjust people's attitudes like mine. I think it is actually quite important to talk about things like that as well, that there's that side of it.
It is.
I'm always very open to having my mind changed, and I'm not going to lie to you, in a couple of recent conversations, I was influenced in relation to that. So if you are aged 18, is it 18 to 49 now? Is it 18?
It's up to the age of 50
is it 21
now.
or 18?
Yeah, no, it's 18, 18 to 50.
So
it's been
18
raised
to 50, so the whole family.
Yeah, the whole family can pack up and head to Templemore now. Yeah, it used to be 18 to 35, and they moved it then to 50.
Which is a very sensible move, especially in this day and age where people are fitter and healthier for longer. Okay,
so
we'll see. We'll see what kind of uptake there is in relation to that. And as I say, if you are thinking about it, we'll be speaking to a recent graduate. I presume it's a graduate.
Probably
or
a probationer guard, I would say,
we'll
maybe.
speak to them a little later
Well,
on.
if anybody does want to call into these events, I would recommend they do so, because it's
and
all
that
right.
means chatting to individuals like you.
Yeah, well, you see, it's
well,
all right
which is
reading about
important.
something on
Yeah.
paper and looking at the public jobs website and the Garda website. I still think old school, it's hard to beat. Even chatting to me, who has X amount of years of experience,
22.
and then 21 and a half years of experience,
I know.
and then
Too
you have a
old for the
trainee
halves.
guard. You have a trainee guard who's going through the training process at
Yeah.
the minute. So you're really hearing, you're hearing everything that you need to know from people who have lived it and who have worked it and know from the
I'd
inside.
like to chat to, and we'll set it up down the line, is to chat to, say, someone who was 42 and joined the Guards.
Yeah,
as
that'd
well.
be interesting.
Down the line a wee bit. I'm not sure if the age of the person we're going to speak to on Thursday, but I think down the line that would be an interesting combo as well, just to get that lived experience of maybe a career change or following a dream.
Yeah, moving from
later
one
on in
career
life.
and joining in the Guards. Yeah,
because life experience is invaluable as well. Much of it's learnt on the job, but if you can bring it into the job as well, fantastic. Any job, that is. Right, just a quick question, if that's all right, Grania. Regarding driving, given the rules of the road, how far behind should you be in measurements away from a car? Under the old rules, you should be 50 yards behind a car, but nobody follows it. Seconds are not as easy to gauge as a measurement.
I read that question and I did think, I had put a lot of thought into that, and I thought, it is hard to gauge 2 seconds, but there's a 2 second rule, and it's part of the rules of the road, and that is what you're tested on when you're doing your driving test, and it's in the theory test also, I believe. So the 2 second rule really is what you should follow to gauge what distance you should be behind the vehicle in front. So 62 metres is the minimum safe distance to leave between vehicles, travelling at 100 kilometres per hour on a dry road. So that's just one scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could have been a wet road, a slushy road, so that's, but it's 62 metres on a dry road travelling at 100 kilometres. So that figure is based on the 2 second rule. So if you follow the 2 second rule, you will leave approximately 1 metre between you and the vehicle in front for every 1.6 kilometres off your speed. So using the 2 second rule, I don't know, I must put a post on Facebook today about this 2 second rule. I'd say most people are familiar with it, but under the 2 second rule, it helps to significantly reduce accidents or reduce collision damage if one occurs. And collisions often happen because drivers, they're driving too close to the car in front, and they're unable then to brake in time as a result. So you can avoid collisions, just common sense really. Look well ahead and give yourself plenty of distance between you and the car in front, and give yourself plenty of time to react.
It's kind of interesting in that how much distance you travel in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
1, 2.
Yeah.
don't take.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I know, because it is kind of, when you think about it that way, it
it's
sounds
astonishing how much distance. So if you think you're approaching a zebra crossing, or you know what I mean, 2
Yeah.
seconds. And I know that's 100 kilometres per hour, but it's actually really quite remarkable how much distance you would cover.
Yeah,
it might
well-
seem obvious to others, but I've never truly thought it
I
through.
do have the 2 second rule here, if you want to know what the 2 second rule is, but people are probably already familiar with the 2 second rule.
What do you mean?
It's in the rule. There is an actual 2 second rule that you're meant to follow.
Okay.
It's within the rules of the road.
So you may well be asked it actually.
Oh, you would be asked it in the theory test, yeah. And if you're on a driving test also, they would expect you to follow that rule, yeah.
Right, okay. Interesting stuff. Good knowledge to have. All right, Grania, thank you very much indeed.
problem.
That was Garda Grania Doherty from the Letterkenny Garda Station. If you missed any of that, it'll be podcast on our website around about 12:30, and it'll be available later too on the Garda Síochána and Highland Radio's Facebook pages for you to watch back. And it's back live for you again after the news next Tuesday.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, proud sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place.
Love is in the air in February, says I to old Mr. Brennan. I know all about that, says he, because our famous Brennan's family pan is the loaf of my life. And it's still fresh, even after all these years. Well, says I, Mr. Brennan, you make me want to be a butter man. Brennan's family pan. Always fresh, tasty and delicious, and baked with love every single day, because anything baked is better with Brennan's. Today's bread, today.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
For strong, unique, weather-resistant homes, choose Cedral Exteriors. Our fibre cement roof slates and wall cladding ranges are built to last for generations, exceeding EU quality standards. Members of Guaranteed Irish, our products are locally made and beautifully designed, offering long-term peace of mind. Visit cedral.ie. Cedral Exteriors. Strength guaranteed.
At My Home, we hate complicated. That's why our new app now offers a great range of features like our enhanced map search, access to My Home Eco Rating, as well as our all-important property email alerts, which means you have everything you need to find your new home right in the palm of your hand. Download the new My Home app today.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10am to 6pm at Scally Place, Letterkenny.
Is your business or farm having difficulty getting a loan or restructuring bank debt? The good news is there's something you can do about it. For over 10 years, Credit Review has helped Irish SMEs by appealing unfavourable credit decisions. For more information, visit creditreview.ie. Credit Review is an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Irwin Expert Electrical, your trusted destination for all things home appliances, electrical and entertainment in the Northwest. With over 50 years of leading the way, we pride ourselves on offering a diverse range of products under one roof. From top brands like LG, Samsung, Cooker, Bosch, Apple and more, take advantage of our free layaway service where you can store your new items until you're ready for them. Perfect for renovations and new build projects. Visit Irwin Expert Electrical today in Letterkenny or Buncrana.
Want to work with the very best? Then make the all-new Nissan Interstar your next recruit. It's first impressions that count, and the Nissan Interstar doesn't disappoint. With a brand new eye-catching grille and jaw-dropping design. And with a stronger-than-ever payload, it has the power to match your ambition. Available now in electric and diesel versions. Let the world know you mean business with the all-new Nissan Interstar. Contact your local dealer or visit nissan.ie. Nissan. Defy ordinary.
Valentine's Day is almost here. Still looking for the perfect treat for your special someone? Make this day unforgettable with a gift from Pandora. Don't wait until the last minute. Visit us now in-store and online at pandora.net to find the perfect symbol of love.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So it's going to be mostly cloudy today with a little patchy light rain and drizzle at times. Cold with highest temperatures 4 to 7 degrees and light to moderate easterly breezes. We're joined on the programme now by Dr. Clodagh Campbell, author of her book, The Steps. Hi, Clodagh. How are you getting on?
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it, and congratulations on your new piece of work. The Steps. This is to help others, drawing on your own experience as well, I'm sure, Doctor.
So it is a combination of my own personal life experience, but also the lessons that I've learned from sitting with client after client after client in the therapy room as a psychologist, as a therapist. You know, so often, Greg, I'm sitting with people and they say to me, Clodagh, how do I lower my anxiety? I'm feeling so overwhelmed and so stressed. I'm heading for burnout. How do I make a change? How do I look after myself? I'm in the midst of grief and I'm navigating it and I'm barely surviving it. How do I get through this? So I continuously get that question, how? And that's where the steps came from. That's where the steps was born from. You know, these real life, tangible, actionable, but really meaningful steps that somebody can take to make a change in their life.
And also to, I think you're putting in a very constructive way, by the way, you're framing people's emotions or what they feel, you know, whether it is, circular thinking or whether it is catastrophizing or whatever, like those are all familiar for anyone who's had anxiety or stress or whatever. They would understand that. But also, you frame it in a different way. Chaos of your mind is a different way of describing kind of what I'm talking about. There's not a moment that you can sit still in your head. It is constantly going. So you keep yourself busy, because as soon as it's quiet, you have to deal with this. As soon as you put your head down in the bed, it starts, or it continues, or it's amplified. That is chaos of your mind.
Absolutely. I mean, we are all living such fast-paced lives at the moment. You sit down at 9 a.m. or whatever time you start work, and your emails have already built up overnight. Your WhatsApp messages and groups are constantly pinging, and people feel like we're accessible to them all of the time. I got an email on Friday, and come yesterday, I had already gotten 3 more emails to say, please reply to confirm this. That's very overwhelming. And I found myself getting a little bit irritated thinking, I'm busy, allow me just to have a couple of days to come back to you. And that's reflective of me, because my life has been busy the last few days. But people, I'm sure, will relate to that constant switching on, the constant juggling all of the balls, the needing to be 3 different places at once, whether it's with work, whether it's with family life, whether it's with commitments. We keep saying yes, 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 when often we want to say, no, I need a break.
And this is all with the expectation of strength, of power, of responsibility, of being able to cope. It's funny. We'll go through more of the steps in a moment, but we learn about ourselves. All the time if you look out for it. And I only recently realised that if I have a very stressful engagement or a very stressful experience, that will only sort of trigger anxiety or issues for me like hours later. In the moment, I'm fine, and very shortly after it. And it's only recently I realised or made a connection with then when I feel like absolute crap, there's this sort of a lag with me. Everyone's different, but this lag of a number of hours, or it could be a day. And then I was able to link, how I was feeling then back to something that happened earlier in the day or the day before.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when we're in the moment of something, we are in survival mode. We're in performance mode, aren't we? And our cortisol and our adrenaline is pumping away to keep us going in the moment. And then perhaps when we slow down a little bit, or we have a moment to catch our breath, or we put our head on the pillow at nighttime, we start to feel really tired. And as you said earlier, the emotions can flood us. We can realize, actually, I feel quite angry, or I feel quite sad, or I feel quite overwhelmed now. And that can be very confronting. That can be scary, because we often don't like to connect with that, because it's hard and it's painful and we don't know what to do with that. There's been many a night where I have felt really upset in bed because I haven't given myself a moment to process something that happened earlier. Maybe my boss said something to me in front of other people at a meeting and kind of humiliated me a little bit. Maybe my kids said something to their teacher that, you think, oh my God, why did they say that? Mommy was cross at me this morning. She was chasing me around trying to get me to put my shoes on, as they innocently sometimes say. So it can catch up with us. And when we slow down, it's when we can feel it, when it can hit, and that can be really hard to navigate. And that's exactly, I hear that all the time, Greg, and that's where the book comes in. I want people to read the book and to do the exercises, because there are so many gorgeous exercises and meditations throughout. But I also want it to become a bedside Bible for them, that they leave it on their bedside locker. And when they've had those days, they reach for it, and they reach for a particular step, like calm the chaos of my mind or honor my emotions. And then there's that resource that's there for them and that can support them in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as you say, some people will read it cover to cover and put it down, but it's there for you to reach for when you recognize something from one of the steps, so to speak. So with that in mind, it is listed 1 to 10, and you can see sort of like a natural pathway in the 10 steps. But you're saying that once you've sort of got your head around the 10 steps, you can dip into 5 when you are giving yourself a hard time, or you can dig into 10 when you realize some things are out of your control. Is that how you expect people to use your book?
Absolutely. And I was really mindful when I was writing it of the spectrum of readers that are picked up a book like
They're
this
not readers.
before.
Yeah.
And then
Mm.
there are people out there that have read every single, mind, body, soul book, or popular psychology book or self-development book that there's out there. So I wanted the book to meet people where they're at. And that's why there are all of those reflective exercises, the meditations, the journal prompts. There are those exercises that people can do, whether it's their first time taking up a pen and journaling, or whether they have done it a million times before. And that was really, really important to me. It was also important to me that it was very giftable. When you have somebody in your life that maybe might be in the middle of grief, or they might have had a miscarriage, or they might have just separated from their partner, or, maybe they've just been diagnosed with an illness. That feeling of, I really want to support my friend, but I don't know how to do it. That's where the steps can come in as well. It's what a gorgeous gift to give to somebody. So that was kind of as part of it for me as well, to really, my main reason for this is even just to support one person who feels alone, or who is struggling, or who can't get in to see a psychologist. It's expensive. There are long waiting lists. I really wanted to bring the therapy room into people's homes to just even help one person. Because, Greg, I know what it's like to be there, to feel lost and alone and scared and sad. I speak a lot in the book about my own experiences of being there, and it's really hard. So if I can just do one thing to help people in that, that's where the book came from.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot of people that believe that some of the stuff we talk about when we talk about these issues are quirks of their own personality or unique to them. They're not. Even the strongest people you might know, or the people you think least likely to struggle with their emotions or their chaos in their mind or what have you. Knowing that it is perfectly normal and others are the same as you, even those that you wouldn't expect it to be, can be quite helpful as well. As a psychologist yourself and dealing and helping with other people, there might be this perception that you have all the answers for yourself, that you clearly could never have any issues because you know all the answers because you help other people as well. When you are dealing with stuff personally, is it more difficult or easier as a trained psychologist?
I really like that you've brought this up because, to struggle is to be human. We berate ourselves and criticize ourselves for having natural, normal human responses to things. Of course, we're feeling overwhelmed when life is really busy, and I absolutely have those moments myself. And in a way, I wrote the book for myself too. I wrote the book for that younger teenage version of myself that really needed somebody to guide them. And it is going to live on my bedside locker too. And I am going to do the exercises as well. When I really need a little boost of self compassion, or when I need a reminder of how to step by step regulate my nervous system, or how to be kind to myself, or how to strengthen my self worth, or quieten my inner critic, because my inner critic comes out in times too. I can criticize and judge and berate myself just like anybody else. So actually, it's nice for me to have the reminder alongside anybody else.
Yeah. And also, too, there is a lot of people out there who cope and think that's just the way things are, that I am a stressed character, or I do suffer from anxiety. They might not even call it that. Or I do find that my mood is depressed from time to time. That might find their eyes being opened in opening a book like this. You know what I mean? That it puts a name on it, that it is a thing. It's not just who you are. It's not just something that you have to deal with. Why do you feel tired all the time? Why is your back and neck always in knots? Why are you irritable? Why do you snap at people? Some people have to identify, and there's no shame in it, that maybe they do need to have a bit of self-love or maybe a chat with someone.
I think we all do. For me, definitely, I know my healing journey will be lifelong, and I have all of the resources to help me. But, from time to time, it's really healing to sit with somebody else and just to say, I've had a really hard day. Support me in this. Listen to me. Hold me compassionately in this. And like you said, people come into me and they'll say, I've always been a worrier. It's just been part of me. And actually, I will say to them, oh, so you've experienced anxiety for a long time. And then they'll say, oh God, I actually never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the really important part. I will say to them, you can do something about that. You can start to manage your anxiety and lower your anxiety and make a real difference to your life, or improve your mood, or, learn how to, when you're feeling really irritable, look after yourself in that, because we all snap at our other halves. I sometimes at nighttime with my children snap at them and then have to apologize to them the next morning and say, I'm really sorry. I was really tired last night. And people hopefully will feel a little bit more normal in that, because it's a really normal part of life. Last night I was talking to somebody and she said to me, oh God, I can hear my children. I think they've woken up. She said, I just need a minute to myself. It's been relentless today. That's not being a bad mom. That's being a human, busy person. And whether that's with children or with work colleagues or with your other half or with your mother or your sister or whatever it is, like, that is normal
Or
life.
with yourself.
Or with yourself, exactly, yes.
All right, Dr. Clodagh Campbell, her book "The Steps" is out right now. It's not an encyclopedia. It's compact and to the point, but also it is also detailed and big enough at the same time. If you get where I'm coming from, we do appreciate your time. Thanks so very much for that, and I wish you nothing but success with it and everything else. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye, Dr. Clodagh Campbell there.
Need expert care without the wait. Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show, have you covered. Walk in Monday to Friday 10am to 6pm at Scally Place for expert injury and illness care. Opening offer just €100 consultation fee.
Bridgend Bureau de Change is now open at Rafferty Circle K Bridgend for all your euro, sterling and dollars. Contact Bridgend Bureau de Change at Rafferty Circle K Bridgend. Planning a wedding or caravan fees to pay? Call into Rafferty Circle K Bridgend for all your currency needs. Bridgend Bureau de Change, the #1 Bureau de Change in County Donegal, authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way. Because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
The Nutria's Milk Replacer range, which includes NutriStart and NutriStart Plus, offers the best start for your calves this spring season with 23% and 25% crude proteins, ideal for calf to beef and heifer rearing systems. Give your calves the best possible start. Available at your local Homeland store or online at homeland.ie. Visit nutrius.ie for full nutritional information.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. It's time for a news update, and we welcome back into studio Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Omagh bombing inquiry is moving into a new phase and is now starting to hear from survivors. So far, the hearings have focused on commemorating the 29 people who've lost their lives. More than 200 were injured in the Rail IRA attack, which was the single worst atrocity of the Troubles. There has been widespread backlash on comments made by the Taoiseach yesterday that cost of living measures are to be dropped in Budget 2026. Micheál Martin has indicated there won't be energy credits, which were in place to deal with high electricity prices. Emma Gova is a family carer of 5 and known as the Wee Donegal Mammy online. She says last year one woman found herself having to choose between putting food on the table or run the risk of having her power turned off. A home in Castlegrove, Rafo, was broken into between 8 p.m. on Sunday and 11 o'clock the following morning. The owner found after returning from being away to see the back door ajar and items having been disturbed. Nothing was stolen nor damage caused to gain entry. Gardaí are asking those who believe they witnessed suspicious activity within these hours to contact them. The European Union has called an unscheduled meeting of trade ministers to discuss the latest US sanctions. Taoiseach Simon Harris will attend the video conference tomorrow afternoon. Yesterday, President Trump announced tariffs on the importation of steel and aluminium. Donegal County Council is being urged to take the lead on Housing and Information Day for professionals and builders engaging with the defective concrete block grant scheme. The chair of the council's DCB committee, Councillor Martin McDermott, says there are repeat issues with forms being submitted, which in turn is causing delays in payments for those carrying out remediation works. A man was taken to hospital following an assault on Main Street, Rathmullen. It's reported that at 20 past midnight on Sunday last, a man was set upon by another man. He sustained non-life-threatening injuries, and Gardaí are calling upon witnesses and those with dashcam footage to assist with inquiries. Meanwhile, later that night, another man was assaulted in Buncrana. Gardaí there responded to a report on Main Street between 3:15 and 4:45. A man was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries after being allegedly attacked by another man. That's all for now. I'll be back again with more headlines at 12 noon.
Don Murray, thank you.
Valentine's. The lights are low, the wine is chilling, the kids are in bed. The kids are back out of bed and want you to read another story. At least you got your dinner to look forward to. From February 12th, up to 30% off Aldi's award-winning specially selected steak range, including 2 Irish Black Angus strip loin steaks, now only $6.99. If you ever make it back downstairs, that is. Good food, good mood, from Aldi, while stocks last.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We're into the last hour of the show for this, what day is it? Tuesday. Right, okay. We're joined by Bernie Walsh, who is Advocacy Liaison. Good morning to you, Bernie. How are you keeping? Hello.
We're keeping very well, Greg. We're very, very happy bunch here.
Okay, right. Now, this is in relation to the Donegal Community Inclusion Transport or Training Service, sorry. It's a HSE service for adults with an intellectual disability across the county of Donegal. Tell us in your words a little bit more about DCITS.
It's a service for, as you say, people with intellectual disabilities, and the name kind of identifies the service, which is about community inclusion. They come into the hubs right across Donegal, and then they go out to their various activities in the community. It's about community inclusion, and it's a 5-day service, and it's for adults, therefore individuals over 18 years of age. So
before we talk to some of those availing of the service, talk to me about the advocacy groups, their purpose, and how issues have been highlighted within those groups.
The advocacy groups really kind of arose from the new directions, which was kind of paving the way for disability services in the country, and is part of the HSE self-advocacy strategy. So advocacy groups were set up within DCITS services, and it was to give the service users a platform to raise issues with an independent person and to pursue those issues. And it was really around ensuring that the service was, I suppose, delivering for those who avail of the service. After all, they are the experts of the service. And so it was about listening to them and the issues that they had. So in July 2022, Frances Toland, who's here, and she'll be able to tell you about how she raised that issue. And it was an issue that was common right across the hubs. So we have approximately 250 service users within the service, and approximately 60 to 70% of them are affected by that charge. So perhaps Frances would like to talk a little bit, Greg, if that's okay.
Yeah, please. Good morning to you, Frances. How are you keeping?
I'm all right. Thank you very much.
No, it's great to have you on the programme. Okay, so highlight to me what Bernie was just referencing there, the concerns or the reality of using this service.
Well, how it started, when I was on the bus first, we never was charged, not 1 penny. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how long it came after that, it came that we had to be paid €3 a week, and then it went up a year more. That came to four euros a day. And if you come in 5 days a week, it comes to 940 for the year. And that's out of our pocket.
Yes, that comes out of your sole income, the disability allowance. So it adds up. Yeah, it adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
One thing too, which seems strange, is that this is not all around the country. This just happens to be in our area. Do we know why that is?
I don't know. We just found out when I brought that up. It was only Donegal area, and there was nowhere else. And so we continued the meeting, and we wanted to fight, and we got where we wanted.
Now, you are protesting this effectively by refusing to pay the daily charge. Is that correct?
Oh, you don't have to pay it no more because it's money's put away for that.
Right, okay. Well, that's good news. So, and that goes to show how it's good to advocate on behalf of yourself and get results.
It is very, very. That's what I like about that. When it comes out, the other way good instead of bad, that they don't listen to us.
Yeah. Liam, you also use the service. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Craig.
How are you keeping, my friend?
Good, Craig. Yourself?
Very good indeed. Okay, so what have you observed or been highlighting, Liam?
Well, the €4 disability charge was like ridiculous because we had to pay it every day, 5 days a week until the end of the year. Like
Yeah, well, take your time. There's no panic. There's no panic on it, Liam. Also, yeah, go ahead, Liam. Carry on.
The government wasn't taking it seriously, and we had to go up to and get them to get the 500,000. We were going to go up to Dublin and protest about it.
But you didn't have to.
But we didn't have to.
Yeah, but that's because they knew you would have. And firstly, they wouldn't like that. But also, too, hard work and persistent and getting on to ministers and getting on to those that, that are representatives and saying, look, enough is enough. We're not accepting this.
Yeah, because we had Anne Rabbit up here in 2022 about it, and she was disgusted about it. And Francis and Tracy were talking to her about it, and she was very disgusted. And then she went back up to Dublin about it, and then all of a sudden, Pat, the Cook Gallagher, wanted to be involved in it. And so her and Pat, the Cook Gallagher, did the unbelievable thing and got the government on the case.
Yeah, stay where you are, because you mentioned his name and he appears. Fianna Fáil Deputy Pat the Coke Gallagher. Good morning to you, Deputy. You've been involved in this campaign, and it's a non-brainer, isn't it? There's something seriously wrong about this, especially when it affects only one CHO area, that being our area, Pat.
Yeah, of course. I became aware of this some months ago, in fact, well before any election, and I agreed to meet with the Advocacy group in Letterkenny, and I met them a number of times afterwards. I communicated with Minister Anne Rabbit, who was the Minister with responsibility, and found her very responsive, and she did say that the funding would be approved, but of course she had to gain approval from the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform. Coming up towards the election, I met with the group again in Letterkenny, and I called the Minister, put her on speaker during the meeting, and she assured us that she had now earmarked 500,000 for the HSE to ensure that the users would not have to pay €4 daily from their only income, and that was their disability allowance. So it's now, I have a letter, it's very clear in that letter that the Minister was just waiting on approval from public expenditure, that the money was ring-fenced, and I will be pursuing this now with the incoming Minister, whom I'm not sure if she has delegated authority yet to any particular Minister of State, but the senior minister is Minister Norma Foley, and the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform, Jack Chambers. So I'll be in touch with both of them this week in order to ensure that this is fast-tracked. I have no doubt in my mind but that the money is available, and the letter is very clear. And even though Anne Rabbitte is no longer Minister, she's back in the Shannon again, and if I need her support, then I have no doubt that I'll get that support. But the bottom line is that the users in the CHO one area should not be discriminated against, and I think it's very wrong that they should have to pay €20 per week towards transport.
We have been listening to Francis and Liam, two service users. They're on this call as well. How impressed have you been with their advocacy and how they've been working so hard on this campaign, Pat?
They are very impressed. Every time I've met them, I was more impressed. They're very strong in their views that they should not be discriminated against, that the department and the HSE have an obligation to provide the funding. It's discrimination, as I said to the Minister in the past, if it can be provided in other parts of the country and not in our part. Now, we were nearly there, but for the election, but I can assure the group and the members of that group who impress me very much every time I met them, that I will not let the bone go in this one. I will fight it tooth and nail, and I would hope sooner rather than later that the approval will be given.
Yeah, exactly. And the fight has all but been won. It's just a case now of getting it over the line with the new administration. Is that your assessment of it, Pat?
It is, and if you read the letter, Greg, that Anne Rabbitte wrote to me on the 20th of November, it's very clear in that. You'll be pleased to know that I have secured funding to address this matter and have earmarked 500,000 for the HSE to ensure that they can be covered for their expenses. She said there are a number of small issues that need to be addressed by officials in our own department and the Department of Public Expenditure. Hopefully they're addressed by now, but if they're not, I'll make sure they're addressed sooner rather than later.
All right, there you have it, Francis and Liam. You heard from Deputy Gallagher there. Obviously very impressed with your campaign so far. And it's just a case now of a short wait before it's all done and dusted. Good news, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Good stuff. Thanks, Pat the Cope. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, thank you very much indeed. All right, Bernie Walsh. Anyone else wish to speak there? I know I have Francis and Liam's names in front of me, but did anyone else have anything to say, Bernie, or what's the story?
I think Marion and Tracy here might want to say just a few quick words.
Marion, I'll start with you. What do you have to say to me and the listeners?
But how good it was.
But how good it was.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about not paying the bus every day, Greg.
Good stuff, Marion. Fair play to you. And you, Tracy, you're of the same view?
Yes. I think we put in a lot of hard work, and there were times we were going to give up, but we didn't. We stuck with it and we got there.
Yeah, well done. Fair play to you. And it's really impressive, I think, that you've got together as a group and actually affected change on a national level, albeit affecting us locally. Tracy, thank you so much. It was great to see you and hear from you.
Thank you.
Marion, have a wonderful day, will you?
Yeah, well.
Take care,
up
Liam.
The harps, Greg.
Say that again, Marion.
Up the fun harps on Friday.
Do you get to the games, Marion?
Yeah, I do. You always see Bernie in front here.
Oh, very good. Okay, good stuff. How do you think this season's going to go? It's the start of a new season now, some new players in.
Yeah, we're going to beat Bray in Fun Park anyway.
Good stuff. Have you picked out your seat when this new stadium is built yet? No?
Yeah, I always stand where the players is coming out, Greg.
Oh, brilliant. Well done. Fantastic. So you're delighted the season's back up and running again then?
Yeah, even Finn as well here.
Brilliant. All right, good stuff, Finn. Well done. Liam, do you follow the Harps or what? You're a GA man? I see Manchester United on your top. You have some neck on you wearing that on the radio.
I know.
Do you know what, Liam? The worst thing is now, you can't take the hand out of Manchester United supporters anymore because they won't take you on.
I know, because they're 13th in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, that's counting from the top. It's much less if you count from the bottom. And what about you, Francis? What do you like to do? What's your guilty pleasure?
Football at all. I follow the Highland.
The hurling, really?
Yeah, I do.
Very good. The Donegal hurlers
the
lost
hurling.
at the weekend, but they're doing great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you get to many?
I don't like the football.
Right. Do you get to any games, or just more of an armchair fan?
I would love to.
Right.
The only game I had, I went to one game that I was down in County Clare and Ennish, and I was looking at my cousins playing. That's the only game I got to.
Oh, okay. And what about dancing? Did any of you like social dancing or anything like that, or country music or pop music? Marion, go on.
I go jiving every Thursday night. It's in the community centre, Greg.
Whereabouts is that?
Just beside us, the community centre across the road.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant stuff. What about you, Tracy? Or Marion? Or do you jive?
I love doing crochet and knitting.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Supporting Donegal.
And support Donegal, indeed. And at least there's a bit of a buzz. There's a good buzz now. We beat Dublin, we beat Kerry, and you know what? I think we're going to beat Armagh on Sunday as well.
Hopefully, Craig.
Hopefully, Craig. Come on,
yeah, hopefully not.
Hey, now you watch yourself, Francis. You just worry about the hurling and leave the football to the rest of us.
I'm on Kerry.
I'm on Donegal. Up Donegal.
Good stuff. All right, guys, listen.
Well, I want Kerry and Donegal.
Why are you supporting Kerry?
Because I have relations down there. That's why.
I think you're just trying to support a good team. Okay, listen. Sorry, I forgot why we were chatting to you. Go ahead, yes, Marion.
Sorry, we have a birthday girl as well.
Okay.
Andrea.
What's her name, Andrea?
Andrea Logue. She's one of the staff.
Oh, great. Is she divulging any numbers, Marion?
She's 30 today.
The big 30.
Yeah.
She doesn't look a year over 29.
Yeah.
All right, Tracy, Marion, thanks so much for chatting to me. It's great to have you on. We should do this again. Francis, thank you so much. And Liam, last but certainly not least, and listen, we invited you on to congratulate you on your amazing campaign. It's not just for yourselves, it's for all of the people that avail of this service.
For all the people got involved, we want to thank everybody to help us, and thank you very much for everybody.
All right, and Marion, is Bernie Walsh shy, or what's the story? I don't see her there. Is she shy?
She's a big nerves back.
She's not one bit shy.
I'm not one bit shy, Craig, but this is about them. I'm there and support and to facilitate. And actually, just when we're on the video here, it was the preferred method of the service users to communicate with the service, with the minister and with the HSE service management is by video.
Yeah.
And they've sent messages by video because that is more meaningful for them, and they didn't get communications back, even though they did say their preference was for getting videos or voice messages back. It's much more meaningful for them rather than the usual bland communication that you can receive from ministerial offices, etc. So there's a better way to communicate when you're communicating with people with disabilities or anybody else for that matter.
Do you know what, Bernie? I think if they've hit on something there too, because you can sort of hide behind words and letterheads and all that type of stuff. But I'll tell you, if you send a video message or a voice message, it's there and it's archived and it's, you know, it's proof of a commitment. So I don't think it's just for people with disabilities. You say, Bernie, this would be a great way of communicating, for all of us communicating, because as I say, it feels more authentic and real. It's great that I can see Liam and Francis and Tracy and the cheeky one in the woolen jumper. Listen, I'm only joking, Marion. It's been lovely. It's been lovely chatting to all of you. Up Finn Harps, up Donegal. I'm not going to say up Kerry Francis. You're on your own on that one. And up the crocheting as well for Tracy. God bless you all. Thank you so very much indeed. Yes.
Can I have a word before you go?
Can you have a what?
Can I have a word before you go?
Go ahead, of course, Francis. What do you want to say?
When Bonnie was saying, when we were chatting on the video to them, they didn't come back to us, and we felt a bit let down. We even said we felt it wasn't on our behalf. It wasn't real when they didn't get back to us. That's how we felt.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fair. It was on one sided, and we did say it, and they did tell us that they would come and try and speak to us on the video, and they didn't. And I gave out to them a couple of times, and I broke down and cried. So.
All right. Well, listen, your persistence has paid off, Francis. You have got the result, and that persistence is something we could all learn from. Because as we heard from Pat the Cope Gallagher there, the money's there. It's been ring fenced. It's just a case now of the new minister getting in situ, and it's a great credit to all of you. Thank you so very much for your time today. Thanks to Pat the Cope as well, and of course thanks to Bernie. Take care of yourselves, everyone.
Thank you, Craig.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See you soon. Take care. Thank you so very much.
Affidi Letterkenny MIU, proud sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place.
Beat your personal best with top brands and premium running footwear from Michael Murphy Sports. There's new arrivals from Asics, New Balance, Brooks, Adidas and Under Armour in a range of structured and neutral styles. Get free next day delivery on orders over €85. Find your perfect pair and reach peak performance with michaelmurphysports.ie.
If you're starting a new business in 2025, well, let BizPrint help you with all your printing needs. Logo design, invoice books, business cards and promotional products. Call BizPrint in Letterkenny today on 9177 955 or visit bizprint.ie.
Discover Centra Simple Savers, your go-to for great everyday value. Like inspired by Centra Fresh Irish Angus Sirloin Steak 440 gram, only €8. Selected Pepsi, Club and 7-Up 1.75 to 2 litre, €2 each plus deposit. And Cadbury Milk Tray 360 gram, only €8. Centra. Live every day.
I'm Fionnuala Fibre O'Farrell Flynn, racing across the country to keep up with NBI's fibre rollout. Over 50 broadband providers are using NBI's network to bring high-speed fibre broadband to homes across Ireland. So from Ballyliffin to Ballybuffet, homeowners can pick whatever package suits their needs and still get all the benefits of rural Ireland's dedicated fibre broadband network. Connect at nbi.ie.
NBI is delivering the government's national broadband plan.
Another connection. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have worn heels.
Financial abuse is when people are dishonest in how they manage another person's money, property or benefits, particularly a person who may be at risk.
Surprisingly, a lot of financial abuse is carried out by people known to us. A family member, carer, neighbour, social welfare agent or worker. Prevent financial abuse by keeping in control of your money.
Learn more at safeguardingireland.org from Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
11:25. Yeah, great again to speak to Francis, Liam, Tracy and Marion there. Would really love to touch base with that for again into the future, just to keep ahead of some of the issues, because it's great to speak to, you know, your politicians or you know, heads of departments and all that kind of stuff, but you can't beat speaking to the people that are directly affected by things as well, especially when they're campaigning so hard in the background. So definitely going to be touching base with the crew there again in the not too distant future. Right, Sean's with me now. Hiya, Sean.
Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. What's the story with you? You were in the air. Talk to me about this.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Went down to Derry Airport yesterday to fly a normal journey back to Birmingham.
Yeah.
But we're told that on the 29th of March onwards, the flights will be discontinued. And unfortunately, won't be able to use that lovely little airport down in Derry.
Wow, I wasn't aware of this. So the Derry to Birmingham flight is.
That's right. It goes out on the Monday there, and it comes back on a Saturday, and it's such a lovely flight over and back. You know, it's as I said to you about Derry Airport's so convenient.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a lovely little airport, and there's another service gone now for the Northwest. So it's a big blow for
sure.
people like myself and the people I meet over and back all the time that are working over there, girls and lads that are working in the UK, that work in London and Manchester and Birmingham and Hinkley Point and the HS2. They're all flying over and back, and people are kind of disappointed now that they have to go to Dublin and Belfast, which is more expense and a lot more travel. So,
but not to mention, Sean, also the inbound travel making the Northwest more accessible. You know, for those who are flying into ahead of flying out. Pardon my ignorance on this, Sean. I should know. How long have you been availing of this flight, or do we know how long it was running? I seem to have a date in the back of my head.
Well, I've been using it this last 6 months, and always had the feeling they would pull it, but I just confirmed there yesterday evening when I spoke to some of the staff. It was just so disappointing, to hear it, and I was speaking to a lot of other travellers as well. We're waiting to get on the plane. They're saying the same thing. It's just Belfast, Dublin. It's just so hard to get to these days with the parking and the cost of the parking in Dublin, and when you're over and back every week, it's a big drain on people.
Because I recall we were talking about it towards the end of last year. There was this, great news that Ryanair was extending that route through winter, but obviously they haven't done the numbers. What was from your experience, what was the capacity like on that plane flying out and flying in?
I suppose like the capacity was probably like 3/4 full,
Really? Oh, okay.
It was, yeah. There's a lot of tourists coming over and back there as well from Birmingham and Derry over and back. People come over for weddings and all different celebrations and holiday makers. And it's just a shame that it's been pulled, and it's just going to make life difficult for a lot of other people that are traveling over and back on a weekly basis, because the Monday and the Saturday was just perfect. You went over on the Monday, done your week's work, you flew back again, and it worked really, really well for a lot of people.
Yeah, Ryanair said when they launched this last year, a direct connection to Birmingham has been in demand for a number of years, particularly for those commuting to work, study or visit family and friends, and we're delighted that Ryanair will be taking to the skies to provide this. Sorry, that was Steve Fraser, the Managing Director of City of Derry Airport. And it was also mentioned last year how important these types of routes are in relation to the viability of City of Derry Airport, because it had seen really quite an impressive increase in passenger numbers, but obviously not enough. But you never know what the motivation, Ryanair's motivation is. They might want to shift this plane to a more profitable route. We don't know if it's about how many people are using it necessarily, Sean.
Yeah, probably right there, Greg. But as I say, just a personal point of view for myself.
Yeah.
It's terrible that we're losing the route, and it's just terrible for people that are traveling over and back to Birmingham, London, wherever they're going to. Derry Airport's a lovely little airport. You're in and out quite quick. There's no delays normally. It's just a pity. It's another blow for the Northwest, and that's just, I suppose, my feeling, and a lot of other people that feel the same way.
Of course, and I'm sure I haven't seen a statement yet from the airport, but I'm sure they're going to be unhappy about this because obviously it hits everything. All right, Sean, listen, it's going to be Belfast to Dublin, but that's a big difference between Derry. But thanks very much for highlighting this with us, and have a good day there. That's Sean, who's been informed that route is no longer. Thursday night, RTE1, Fanad's referee Siobhan Cole features on Narrate Jury. It's a programme that I haven't watched, but Siobhan Cole's on it, so if you're interested in that, that's the day after tomorrow. The recent arrest of a former Fine Gael senator and spokesperson for justice and equality was kept very quiet. If it was a minister of the main opposition party, he would have made big headlines, in my opinion. Jeez, I thought it was all over the place, to be honest with you. And I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I have to watch my words carefully. But if it was just about, him having a few drinks and sleeping pills, and if it was a once-off, getting a bit, I'm not excusing his behaviour, but I thought it was all over the papers, to be honest with you. And I don't know, maybe he's had other opportunities. Part of me thought that maybe he could have got a break in that one. But as I say, I don't know the ins and outs. I think for designers and the people who signed off on the 4 lanes project, they should be ashamed. But even when they started working it, they're bound to have known the consequences of a breakdown or an accident and carried on rather than halting redesigning. That's off the back of just the latest situation on the 4 lanes. There was a collision at the roundabout, I believe, yesterday. Traffic instantly comes to a standstill and an emergency services vehicle, and I've posted the video on my social medias, driving up the cycle lane and footpath. And it just is, was that the plan? Did they say, right, we're designing this, right, but what happens when all the lanes are blocked? How do we get ambulances to the hospital? Well, they can drive on the footpath and the cycle lane. I can't imagine that's how it was imagined. But what was the plan? What was the plan? What was the access plan for emergency vehicles when that road was being designed? I'm only asking a question that many, many others have been asking as well. I want to chat to Megan now. Hi, Megan.
Hiya.
You are a carer for your 7-year-old. What do you want to talk about? I'll leave it up to you, Megan.
It was just touching on what you were speaking about earlier,
Yeah.
when the listener texted in saying that what's the difference between parenting and being a carer. I suppose, as a carer, I had to give up work. Most carers would love to be out working. And the cost of living payments that they're saying that they're not bringing in this year, they're a great help to families like ourselves that I'm a carer, I had to give up work. The after-school infrastructure is not there for kids with extra needs. The after-school centres, they don't get any funding. My child needs one-to-one support. So he had to leave after school, which resulted in me having to give up work to become his carer. And then the waiting lists are so long for the therapies and any services that he needs through the HSE. A lot of the times families in our situations have to pay privately for these services when we're running off a significantly lower income than what a 2-parent working family would be.
Plus, you become an advocate, don't you? You almost often become a campaigner because it seems, and I don't know your situation, Megan, and I shouldn't presume, but you're constantly fighting for an appointment, fighting for services, fighting supports, fighting for equipment if it's needed. That's the experience that a lot of carers relate to me.
100%. We're constantly on the phone, ringing different services, waiting on follow-up appointments, and even just with something as basic as schooling, the average parent might get called maybe once a month to the school to collect their child early because they're sick or whatever, whereas parents of children that have extra needs, we need to be contactable at all times. We need to be able to get up and go collect them immediately, whether it be for medical purposes or because in my son's case where he's autistic, he's having a meltdown, he can't cope with the day in school. I have to be able to get up and go and collect him immediately. So I don't have the freedom to be able to work while he's in school.
If something comes up or if there's something that we need to go to, we're very lucky in that we have godmothers or sisters or what have you that can step in and look after Hudson because it's it's relatively simple. He'll sit and watch TV or play with his toys or what have you. What's it like if for you to attend something, Megan? Say for instance if you wanted to go out for something to eat next weekend or there's a family wedding. Your situation is not like mine.
No, so for us, I'm not from Donegal myself. I'm from down the country. But my partner's from Donegal. But his parents are older, so they can't mind our son. Because he's not just going to sit down and watch TV. There's a possibility he's going to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
He needs to take his medications at certain times, and so for us to go out, it's really non-existent. I have a family member from Cork, where I'm from, that can mind my son.
Well,
so
that's
the
the
only
other end
time
of the
we get to
country.
do anything,
Yeah.
the only time we get to do anything is if they're up visiting or if we're down visiting. So yeah, even just getting time out, it has to be either me or his dad go out. We generally don't get to go out at the
Yeah.
same time.
And you talked about administering medicine and all that kind of stuff with routine and timings, and to be able to read your son. You almost become, a nurse of sorts as well.
Oh, 100%. Like, there's things that I discuss with his teachers, and they're like, can we have that in English? Because I'm so versed in the medical terms now in regards to his medication and all, like the administering of it and monitoring his blood pressure and his weight and everything like that, that the normal, I hate that word normal, but
I know what you mean, though.
the average parent wouldn't think of things like that, like watching what he eats, calorie counting, things like that. They're all extra things that we have to do that the average parent doesn't.
And in another situation, if your son didn't have additional needs, caring options would be a plenty, because a lot of us worry about, aftercare and all, but it's not proper worry because it's available. It could be logistics, something silly in the wider scale of things when we have conversations like this. But my point is that, your ability to then go out and work, obviously, so that means automatically it's a one-income family. There is additional costs that you have to face as well, which puts extra pressures on that. And I'm sorry to walk you through this stuff, Megan, but I really want to highlight to that listener earlier on that made this, what is the difference between being a mother and a carer. I really wanted to walk the reality to try and let the penny drop with them, the difference.
Yeah, so there's a massive difference. Like we have a child that isn't extra needs, and the costs that they incur are like football training and hurling and things like that. But for a child that has additional needs, we have to pay for play therapy, we have to pay for occupational therapy, we have to pay for speech and language. They all cost between 50 and €100 a session, which on average they have to be done weekly. Then you've just the assessments, that if you need an assessment done quickly for school purposes or just for support purposes, you could be waiting 2-3 years with the HSE. So we've had to pay for multiple of them alone, ranging from the price of €300 up to €2,000.
My word.
So there's a lot of extra expenses that are incurred.
Yeah.
And you're down one payment, you're down one income as well. So it makes it quite hard.
And it's all about really maximizing your child's potential and to give them a life as equal to other children as is humanly possible. Is that the motivation? Is that what it comes down to, Megan?
100%. Everything that we do comes down to giving him the best possibility of integrating into everyday society when he is of age, and even now with his peers and in school. It's all about making sure that he has everything that an average child naturally inherits, just through being able to social cues and things like that. But it's giving him everything that he doesn't have. To give him that, to have the ability to integrate.
And one other thing I want to highlight a difference in, again, in my situation, and I'm not trying to amplify stuff, Megan, but like, I hope I live forever. But God forbid I drop dead when I come off the show today. Like, my two older boys, I think they're okay. They'll batter on. Do you know what I mean? They're independent and they can work, and they're driving and stuff like that there. And you never know what will happen, but hopefully it'll be the same with Hudson. But if you're the carer of a child with additional needs, dependent on those needs as well, like, I've spoken to mums and dads who actually are afraid if anything happens to them. What if they become sick? What if, God forbid, they were to pass away? What then becomes of their child? Again, for most, just a mom or dad, right? If you know what I'm saying, they don't have to consider that. Do you park that, or does that be in your head, or does it apply in your situation, Megan?
No, it's definitely always in the back of your head. Like with the conditions that my son has, he has a normal life expectancy, but we don't know when he's older if he'll have the mental capacity of an adult, if he'll be able to live on his own, if he'll be able to go do his shopping on his own, things like that. So it always is a worry, like, because nobody else around us within our support system is able to care for him, even for an hour. So when we look at it, if one of us fell sick or if neither of us were here, what situation does that leave him in? And because of his meltdowns and things like that, he become physical. So then you're looking at, when he's older, does he end up in a care home just being sedated because he is physically a threat to people at times? So it is constantly a worry that the average parent wouldn't have. Like, it's the natural circle of life that a parent goes before a child, but at times, especially parents with children with additional needs, as horrible as it sounds, you don't want your child to outlive you. You want to live alongside them because you don't know anyone that can provide the level of care that they need other than you.
And a key issue here is, and this is not anti-government, and this is why carers are so important and why they should be valued. We don't, as a state, have a plan B. So if we don't have carers, and mums and dads as well, the same thing often, what's the alternative? You know what I mean? The likes of yourself, Megan, and I hope you live forever. But, you know, if one of our children had to go into care, right, they wouldn't get the same level of attention, the same necessarily opportunities and all that. So you are working as a mum, but also you're saving the state, if that makes sense. I've worded that terribly.
Yeah, 100%. If I wasn't able to care for my son, he would be costing the state thousands every year just for one child, for the level of care he would need.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not getting thousands, and I'm doing the work that they would have to do if I wasn't here. Which with me, like, it doesn't come down to, for any carer, 9 times out of 10 doesn't come down to the money. You're doing it because you want to and because you have to. But we are saving the government thousands by doing it and by being able to do it. But there's a lot of people that are in the situation where they have to do it, but financially they're not able to do it. They don't have the financials to get by on the carers allowance. So coming up to Christmas and winter, when you need to oil and you need coal and you need Santa paid for, on top of all them already additional costs, the payments,
those
the
one-off
cost of
payments
living
were very
payments
valuable.
The one-off payments are very valuable. If it's filling the oil tank or filling the coal bunker, so that you can pay for the therapies and the services that your child needs, it makes all the difference.
Which I don't believe you should have to pay for those therapies and appointments. So it's actually a cost you shouldn't even be facing. Megan, I know there's an awful lot of joy and happiness as well, but obviously the purpose of this was to highlight the differences that are there and that we should be conscious of that. Love to have the whole family. Thanks, Megan. I appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Take care. I'm going to speak to Katrina after this short break.
Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show. Get expert treatment for breaks, sprains, burns, injuries and illnesses. Opening offer €100 consultation fee. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place, Letterkenny.
Irish National Opera presents Johann Strauss's sparkling comedy opera Die Fledermaus in Angrienen Theatre on Saturday the 15th of February. From the composer of the Blue Danube, Die Fledermaus is full of catchy tunes, with champagne-soaked revelry, hilarious twists and Viennese charm. For one night only. Tickets from €29 from angrienen.com. Booking fees may apply. Funded by the Arts Council.
Fabric World Maydown Derry biggest ever winter sale now on trend and in stock curtain and upholstery fabrics all on sale. Over 3,000 metres now half price or less. Free curtain design ready-made curtains up to half price and lining from £1 with fabulous rates on the Euro in store at Fabric World Maydown Derry.
2025 may be well underway, but don't forget about the old tax year. Log on to Revenue's My Account to check your end-of-year position and claim any tax credits you are entitled to. If you're due a refund, you'll get it within days. If you owe us money, we'll work with you on a payment option. My Account. It's quick, it's easy, and it's free.
Go full Lidl this Valentine's Day with a romantic meal for two for just €14. Let your heart choose a mouth-watering main, 2 heavenly sides, and an indulgent dessert. And the perfect match? Our classic Italian Chianti Reserva, only $8.99 on Lidl Plus. Go on, go full Lidl this Valentine's Day. Get the facts for Drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop. Need expert care without the wait. Affidia Letterkenny MIU, sponsors of today's show, have you covered. Walk in Monday to Friday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Scally Place for expert injury and illness care. Opening offer, just €100 consultation fee.
We all want to keep children safe online. Webwise works to support young people, parents and teachers. Get involved in Safer Internet Day this February the 11th. Visit webwise.ie for helpful guides, talking points, free resources on image sharing, gaming, social media and more. Brought to you by Webwise and Cumishún na Meán.
Ah, the difference fragrance makes in a woman.
Treat your Valentine to top brand perfumes from McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny.
What are the different types of fragrance?
Choose from Chanel, Lancôme, Ralph Lauren, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada, Christian Dior and Jimmy Choo. Clarins, Flowerbomb, Gucci, Calvin Klein and Burberry.
The perfect gift at the perfect price. Designer perfume from McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Hello, Jedward speaking. Sorry, Edward speaking.
Hey bro, I'm glad you picked up.
Who is this?
It's me, John. I'm literally outside in the landing.
I don't know any Sean. Lose my number. Hello?
Edward, don't hang up. I'm sorry for saying a handyman could fix the gas boiler. Please forgive.
Always use a registered gas installer, or you could risk everything. Find one at rgi.ie.
Building a new home? Discover next generation comfort with the new award-winning Grant Airona R290 heat pump, delivering exceptional performance with quiet operation. The Grant Airona R290, heating for the future. Think heating, think Grant. Visit grant.ie.
In the month of Bridget, you're invited to join Ard's Friary for a weekend retreat of poetry, music, silence and conversation from the 14th to the 16th of February, as we take time to welcome the light of healing, creativity and new growth. Bookings on info@ardsfriary.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Our new season special occasion wear range is here. Visit us to explore our extensive dress collection in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
It'll be mostly cloudy today with a little patchy light rain and drizzle at times. Cold with highest temperatures of 4 to 7 degrees, winds light. Katrina, sorry for holding you. I do appreciate your patience.
You're okay, Greg. No bother at all.
Some of the conversation today you can very much relate to, Katrina.
Yeah, definitely, Greg. 100% relate to the lady that was on speaking there a wee while ago. So I live in an area and I have 2 children. I have 2 sons. One is a happy wee man. He loves going to after school. He's entitled to 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
I only use 6, so he goes to after school 2 days a week. And he loves it, and he comes home and he's happy. And then I have another child that has autism, and he's entitled to the same amount of hours as his brother. But because of his autism, they are only granting him 1 hour a week.
A week? Sorry, I thought that was a day.
Week.
Wow.
No, a week. So I don't want him going for the 20 hours. I want that little bit of what his brother's getting, Greg. Like, he's entitled to the same amount as his brother, but because the after school is so busy, the child with the autism is a flight risk. He's not potty trained. He needs one-to-one care, and they can't give it. Now, I have the option of sending him to another town where he will get this, but I don't want that. I want my child going to where he goes to school to go to the after school, in the area, rather than send him on a bus, and then I would have to travel to pick him up at 6 o'clock. I'm not asking for the sun, moon and stars. I'm asking for 2 days, for 3 hours a day, but they can't give it to me because they can't give him the one-to-one care.
But also equal treatment for your 2 boys.
Right.
As much as anything else.
Yep.
You know, why should one of them have to travel somewhere else and you up and down and back and forth, and it becomes more of a drain on your resources and time.
Yeah, 100%, Greg.
Is this a resources issue, a staffing issue, it's a
staffing issue, Greg.
Right, okay, yeah.
It's a staffing issue, but it's also a very much safety issue. Like, the after school is very, very busy. There's different things on during them days. Like, they do hip hop, they do gymnastics, they do boxing, they do like loads of different things. And like, he goes to summer camp, and he can go to summer camp, so he goes maybe 2 days a week, but they have the care there because there's more staff. But I'm going, this is not good enough, like.
Yeah.
And then the place I'm on about has said to me, well, you need to go after the HSE for funding. And I'm going, no, I don't. That's your job.
Yeah.
I fight enough for everything else that they need.
I get you. So they're
it's
saying
very, very
to
hard,
you,
Greg.
they're saying to you that we can't get the staff, or we don't get enough funding to provide the staff for this type of one-on-one care.
Yep, the second one.
Right, the second one. So it's, I mean, obviously then it's they say, right, this is our clientele, if I could put it like that there. These are the resources that we need.
Yep.
And it kind of leaves you in no man's land, doesn't it? Because you've been told by them the situation, so you've no control over that. You can't compel them to do something. So this is just the way it is, and you're out of control here.
Yeah, so when I moved to this area, I've always worked. I haven't had a job since I moved down here. I'm 5 years down this year. I would love to go and get a job, but I can't because my free time is from 9:30 in the morning to 2 o'clock. I have a house to clean. I have the gym to go to. And, you know, he's not in school. He's only in school to 2 o'clock. So my buzzer goes off at 5 to 2, and it's, right, Katrina, this is the work. We're back again. It's very hard, Greg, and it's very annoying when you know you're able to do any job you want to do, but I don't have the help. I don't have the support. I don't live near my family.
How does that, as a clearly someone who preferred to be out doing the stuff that you talk of, Katrina, how does it feel? How is it difficult for you to sort of cope, not feel resentful or angry, or I'm not towards your children, I'm on about just towards situations that, you know, our life is short when you think about it, right? How frustrating is it, or how do you cope with having to deal with that, if that makes sense? I don't have to, so I'm trying to put myself in that position.
I get what you mean, Greg.
Like
some days I feel very trapped.
Everything you talk about your kids, right? That's it. It's about the kids, about the boys. What can you do about the boys? Boys. I'm on about Katrina for a sec, if that makes sense.
Well, thank God, Greg. I have a very good brand support down here, and I am in contact with a lot of good mommies and daddies that be like, we're in the same boat. So we come together on, you know, different things, and we'll go to a support group, or we'll go to, like, there's a support group now tomorrow night in Moville. There's another support group then on Thursday night, and we'll voice our opinions there in Carndonagh. But I mean, you feel trapped, Greg. It's like, yeah, you have this free time, but you're trying to catch up on your housework. You have to talk to your family. You have to support your friends. And it's like, this is not fair. Like, all we're asking for is a wee bit of support.
And to get out to work, to go out and do a job and contribute to tax and all that kind of stuff. I know you do that anyway through everything we buy is tax, don't get me wrong, but I'm sure you feel you've an awful lot to provide a company or you know, yourself, Greg, your personal growth.
I done a fundraiser a couple of years ago for the school that my children goes to, and I love doing it. I'm very much, if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to do it and take pictures. Right. And I'm going to prove you all wrong.
Yeah, I get you.
And that's the way I am. And it's just, it's not fair. Like, we shouldn't have to fight this hard. But it's like hitting your head off a window because you're getting nowhere. But the worst thing somebody can tell me is, you can't do that, because I'll be like, oh, you watch me.
Right. Katrina, if there's anything we can do to help in terms of if you decide to try and seek the resources, I know you believe it's the school's role or whatever, if there's some weight we can lend to that, let us know. But thanks so much for giving us an insight. I think it was, listen, that was only a fleeting comment earlier on, but I think, sometimes one comment kind of can be reflective of what some people think. And I think we've done a job today in setting a lot of the records straight in relation to that. So thanks, Katrina, and thanks to Megan and all the other mums that spoke to us earlier. Best wishes to everyone and the two boys and all. Thanks so much, Katrina.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, bye-bye. Take care of yourself. All right. Listen, it's really important to hear people's real life, real lived experience to help us have a greater understanding. Not everyone appreciates that maybe their situation is not as bad as others, or there are people probably listening to our two mums there going, you think that's bad, wait do you see the life I have to live? It's all subjective and relative, but I think it's good that we talk and learn and grow as individuals. Let me see. So am I correct in, this is back to the sharing of images, am I correct in saying parents shouldn't upload their kids in bikini wear in their early teens or younger? That's up to you. It's about context. Would I do it? No. But then again, have I? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. Are there people out there that go around looking for that kind of stuff? Regrettably, yes. So I don't know what parents. It's up to parents what they do. Listen, thanks so much for listening. We are wrapping it up for today. Any comments we didn't get